Chapter 1258. In the depths of the Yunling Mountains, there was a small valley that spanned a few miles. This place was shrouded in a light yellow restriction, emitting an inexplicable frenzy aura. Whenever a body cultivator passed by, they would take a detour and not dare to approach. In the small valley, there was only a small black mountain. A burly man sat cross-legged on top of it. It was Lu Kuan. His body was covered in a layer of light silver blood, and a lot of it seeped into the black mountain from below. The blood was like roots, embedded in the cracks of the rock. Traces of light yellow fog gushed out from the depths of the mountain and entered his body through the roots. In the process of refining the Snow Soul Saber, Lu Kuan had not only consumed a large amount of blood essence, but also the frenzy in his blood. This was equivalent to his blood being damaged. It was useless to just recover blood essence. He also needed to replenish the will unique to the demon race. As time passed, his aura gradually stabilized. The blood that was like roots was withdrawn. The light yellow fog on the black mountain also disappeared into the mountain. After a while, Lu Kuan slowly opened his eyes. He clenched his fists, and an invisible force rippled around his body. Feeling the 1,200,000 gene of physical strength, he revealed a look of relief. Then his figure flashed and landed at the back of the small mountain. He respectfully bowed to a small cave in front of him that was blocked by a rock. "Thank you for the frenzy, Senior. Otherwise, my physical body cultivation would have regressed a lot." The small black mountain sat quietly on the ground, without any movement. Seeing this, Lu Kuan sighed softly. The number of bone transformation stage body cultivators could be counted with 2 hands. It was still far from the number that he had agreed on with the spiritual stone monkey. He might not be able to see the awakening of this senior. Then he carefully sized up his physical body, from muscle fibers to bones, blood to internal organs. His eyes were filled with fear as he muttered, "Fortunately, I was able to block the frenzy of the frenzy. Fortunately, I stopped the fusion of the berserk demonic intent. If all the berserk demonic intent in my body had been completely absorbed, the bloodline of the long-armed demonic ape would have disappeared completely." Previously, after refining the Snow Soul Saber, Lu Kuan did not feel anything at first. He only felt that his physical body was a little weak and could not fully utilize his strength. However, after he had recovered all his blood essence, his physical body still had not recovered. The original 1,200,000 gene of strength had actually weakened to 900,000 gene. This shocked him. The decline of physical strength directly affected his combat strength. With less than 1,000,000 gene of strength, the absorption of the heaven and earth yuan qi was greatly reduced. His strength was not just a little bit weaker. After replenishing the frenzy, my physical body has recovered to its peak state. Lu Kuan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. His eyes flashed with understanding. The reason why my physical body's talent is because of the strength of the long-armed demon ape. When the frenzy in the bloodline inheritance was lost, the talent of the physical body also disappeared. If I send out the last trace of frenzy, I'm afraid my physical strength will weaken to 400,000 gene, the same as an ordinary body cultivator. Lu Kuan looked at the black hill in front of him and thought to himself, when a demonic beast enters the demonic king realm and forms the immortal soul, the frenzy in its body will be endless. In that case, he frowned, even if I enter the soul formation realm with my physical strength, without the primordial spirit, when the frenzy in the bloodline is damaged or lost, my cultivation will still regress. Immortal cultivators and demonic cultivators combine their divine spirit with their demonic core and nascent soul to form the primordial spirit. For body cultivators, they should combine their divine spirit with their internal organs. Lu Kuan touched his chest. He felt the fusion of the Snow Soul Saber's internal organs with his internal organs. The path of body refinement and soul formation realm became clearer. Lu Kuan's path of body refinement is very clear. First, I will use the bloodline talent of the long-armed demon ape to find a way to increase my physical strength to 1 million gene and forcefully enter the full primordial spirit realm. Then, like the snow soul saber, I will use my physical body as a furnace, my internal organs as the internal organs, and my divine spirit as the weapon spirit. I will combine the frenzy in my internal organs. If I'm not wrong, the frenzy is likely to become a special bloodline supernatural power, like the Devil Ape transformation. It's an explosive supernatural power that is exclusive to body refinement and soul formation realm. Lu Kuan looked at the Mountain of Vows again, recalling the state of healing not long ago. When I absorbed the frenzy, I felt that it was not enough. It seemed that my bloodline origin was too strong, and the long-armed demon ape bloodline was not thick enough. Otherwise, I would have been able to absorb more will. If the bloodline is further improved, can it increase the strength of my physical body again? Thinking of this, his eyes gradually lit up. According to my calculations, when I enter the late stage of bone transformation, my strength will increase by 50%, reaching 1.8 million gene. With the help of the temporary transformation of my muscles, I can add about 10% of my strength to my attacks. The difference between 1.98 million gene and the full primordial spirit realm is very small. If I find the bloodline of the long-armed demon ape left in this world by the Yuan sect before the breakthrough and absorb it, will I be able to integrate more frenzy into my bloodline? As long as it can increase by tens of thousands of gene, it means that when I break through to the late stage of bone transformation, the strength of my physical body will directly reach the level of full primordial spirit realm. Lu Kuan's expression was somewhat excited. Even if there's only a small possibility, I have to give it a try. I also have to do it before the breakthrough. Otherwise, after the breakthrough, the long-armed demon ape bloodline and a human bloodline will completely merge. With the snow soul saber protecting my internal organs, the backlash of full primordial spirit realm will be greatly reduced. I just don't know if Brother Hong can find the long-armed demon ape bloodline left in this world. Calculating the time, there's still about a year before the opening of the broken country. I have to discuss with him. At this moment, Lu Kuan's expression suddenly changed. His figure flickered, and he flew out of the small valley. A sound-transmitting talisman was shot over from afar, and with a spin, it landed in his hand. He swept it with his divine sense and said softly, "Why is Monk Ji Yuan here?" In a small pavilion at the peak of the body refining pavilion's mountain gate, two bald men were chatting. One of them had a fat head, big ears, and a kind face. There were a few scars on his bald head, and his whole body exuded a kind of peaceful aura. He was the abbot of the great Zhou Huatian temple, an expert who comprehended the power of will, Ji Yuan. The other person was wearing a black suit, and he had black eyes and a horse face. He was the great elder of the body refining pavilion, Hong Yintian. Hong Yintian said with interest, "In the ancient times, you Buddhist cultivators chanted many Buddhist names, but I don't remember the great spiritual King Buddha. Could he be a Buddhist cultivator who ascended to the upper realm after the Great Demon War?" Ji Yuan put his palms together and said, "Amit Ba, I didn't expect fellow Hong to know so much about Buddhism. The great spiritual King Buddha was the only senior who broke through to the soul formation realm in tens of thousands of years." Hong Yintian asked curiously, "What about the other Buddhist names? Were they replaced by this one?" Ji Yuan explained, "For Buddhist cultivators, the Buddhist names of these seniors can calm them down and restrain their mind. Chanting them from time to time can reduce the possibility of inner demons invading them." Speaking of this, he sighed and said, "However, at the end of the Great Demon War, the soul formation seniors of Buddhism fell one after another, and the inherited Buddhist names lost their effect. Buddhist techniques focus on the cultivation of the soul, and the invasion of inner demons is more frequent than the ordinary immortal cultivation techniques. Without the protection of the Buddhist names, the risk of breaking through to the nascent soul realm is greater. After the Great Demon War, it can be said to be the darkest era of Buddhism. Many territories were robbed. Fortunately, Senior Spiritual King Buddha appeared later. He created a brand new technique. Not only can it absorb the demonic spiritual chi at the same time, but can also comprehend the meaning of mercy. It can control the two types of spiritual chi and Buddhism gradually developed. When Hong Yin Tian heard this, he couldn't help but be shocked. The meaning of mercy. Buddhism actually found a way to control the demonic spiritual chi. Back then, Yi Yuan school couldn't do it. Ji Yuan smiled bitterly and said, "This technique also has a flaw. Not only does the breakthrough of soul formation require pure spiritual chi, it also requires the same pure demonic spiritual chi. Only the demonic world has this kind of spiritual chi, and the immortal cultivation world doesn't have this condition." Back then, great spiritual King Buddha also borrowed the pure demonic spiritual chi that gushed out from the space crack when Yuan country was destroyed, and by chance, he succeeded in breaking through. However, later on, the spiritual chi gradually became turbid. Even if he borrowed the pure demonic spiritual chi that flowed out from the space crack when the broken country was opened, the turbid spiritual chi could only break through to the false soul formation realm at most, and there was no way to form the Buddhist name. At this moment, a deep voice sounded, borrowing the power of two types of spiritual chi to break through. Interesting. I heard that every major sect in the Great Zhou dynasty has a copy of the Buddhist techniques. Master Abbot, can you lend it to Lu to take a look? Chapter 1259. Cloud Ridge Mountain Range. In a small pavilion on the peak of the Body Refinement Pavilion, Ji Yuan and Hong Yin Tian were whispering to each other. Lu Kuan sat beside them, holding a jade slip in his hand and reading it carefully. After a while, Lu Kuan raised his head and sighed. What a pity! He threw the jade slip in his hand to Ji Yuan and said, "This cultivation method of Huatian Temple is a cultivation method that uses the divine soul and divine sense as the core. It also involves the comprehension of Buddhist teachings. We body-refining cultivators focus on the physical body. Divine sense is also different from traditional cultivators. They are two completely different paths." Ji Yuan took back the jade slip and said with a smile, "Pavilion Master Lu aside, other powerful figures in the immortal cultivation world have also studied it. If they want to cultivate, they must enter the Buddhist sect. Otherwise, the violent chi of the devil path will fill their divine soul, and it will be very easy for them to go crazy." When great spiritual King Buddha announced the technique to the public, he had no choice. Lu Kuan showed a thoughtful expression. After a moment of silence, he said, "Speaking of which, why did Master Abbot come to visit?" Ji Yuan put his palms together and said, "Great spiritual King Buddha, I came this time because I was asked by two friends of the Five Spirits Temple to invite Master Lu to the Broken Kingdom. It's best for us, semi-god realm cultivators, to gather together and discuss how to deal with the Devil King. After all, according to the state of the space crack, it is very likely that two Devil Kings will cross over. This time, Master Lu is here." Lu Kuan heard this and interrupted. "Sorry to trouble you, Abbot. Lu already has a plan. He will go to the Broken Kingdom on his own. As for the gathering of semi-god realm cultivators, there is no need for that." Ji Yuan's fat face trembled. He smiled bitterly and said, "Master Lu still doesn't trust the semi-god realm cultivators of the Great Zhou dynasty. At our level, we can crush grand cultivators. We belong to the top of the cultivation world. Every semi-god realm cultivator is extremely rare. Even if there's a fight between us, it will never endanger our lives. Everyone has to guard against the threat of the devil race. This is the consensus of all the semi-god realm cultivators in the world of cultivators. If anyone tries to kill a semi-god realm cultivator, they'll be hunted down by the other semi-god realm cultivators." Speaking up to this point, his expression carried some lingering fear as he said, "Fortunately, Master Lu let Gu Deming off back then. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable." Lu Kuan sneered. "Not life-threatening? Humph. Lu only believes in absolute strength. As the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. It's better for me to go alone." Ji Yuan hesitated for a moment before saying, Master Lu can act alone, but if we fight with the Demon King, don't worry. Lu is very interested in the Demon King. Naturally, he won't miss the battle. Abbot, give me a map and tell me the location and approximate time. Ji Yuan sighed softly and said, All right, the Demon King will appear in the ancient battlefield. The restriction there is special. Without the corresponding array token, even a pseudo-semi-god realm cultivator would find it difficult to break it. This restriction is related to the 5 elements vitality restriction. Only the cultivators from the 5 spirits temple have the ability to make it. This time, they have specially made 8 5 spirits plates for the body refining pavilion. As he spoke, a spiritual light flashed in front of him. Several colorful plates appeared and spun in the air. They were full of spirituality and exuded a special 5 elements aura. Ji Yuan continued, The 5-spirit disc itself is also a powerful defensive magic treasure. After activating it, it can even defend against a Yuan Qi manifestation level attack. However, it can only defend against this level of attack once before its power is exhausted. I wonder how many 5 spirits plates the body refining pavilion needs. This time, not only will 2 demon kings appear in the ancient battlefield, there might also be some demon generals. The risk of nascent soul cultivators going there is great. Master Lu, you have to be careful when you bring your disciples. Lu Kuan stretched out his hand, and an invisible force sucked all the plates in front of him. He smiled and said, Risk comes with opportunity. Since there are 8 plates, I will send 8 people to the body refining pavilion. Ji Yuan's expression turned serious. He had already told them about the danger, but the other party took them without hesitation. It was clear that the body refining pavilion was indeed powerful. However, with a high-level body cultivator, the pressure on the other nascent soul cultivators would be reduced. Thinking of this, a jade slip appeared in front of him. He handed it over and said, This is the map of the broken country. There are some areas that have been explored. 1 year later, the space cracks in the broken country will weaken. By then, nascent soul cultivators will be able to enter. In another half a year, the restrictions on the ancient battlefield will fluctuate for a short period of time. Then, we can use the 5 spirits plate to open it. Why don't we meet at the ancient battlefield 1.5 years later? The area there is not big. With Master Lu's ability, he should be able to sense other soul formation cultivators. Lu Kuan took the jade slip and scanned its contents. He clasped his hands and said, Thank you, Master Abbot. Lu needs to make preparations as soon as possible, so I won't keep you any longer. 2 elders of the pavilion will send you off. As he spoke, his lips moved. 2 people flew over from the mountain peak and landed outside the pavilion. They were Yu Longfei and Pan Yen. Ji Yuan knew that Lu Kuan had some grudges against the Grey Zhou dynasty. He hesitated and said, Last time when I saw Master Lu use his ability, I felt that it was familiar. When I went back to check, I found out that it was the legendary short-lived, long-armed demon ape. Lu Kuan raised his eyebrows and said, What does Master Abbot want to say? Ji Yuan stood up and said, If there is a chance in the future, Master Lu can come to Huatian Temple. Our temple has recorded some secrets of the Yao clan related to the long-armed demon ape. Maybe Master Lu can be the opportunity for the Yao clan and the human clan to reconcile. Secrets? Opportunity? Ji Yuan didn't say much. He clasped his hands and said, When Master Lu comes next time, you will know. I won't disturb you today. Goodbye. Brother Yu, Xiao Yin, send Master Abbot off. Yes, Pavilion Master. Then, accompanied by Yu Longfei and Pan Yin, Ji Yuan left the body refining pavilion. Only Lu Kuan and Hong Yuntian were left in the small pavilion. After a long time, Hong Yuntian said, Lu Kuan ate 5 spirit plates, including you, me, and Xiao Jin. The bone transformation stage body cultivators don't exceed this number. Do you plan to send everyone? Lu Kuan shook his head and said, It's better for the 2 of us to go. The 5 spirit plates were refined by the spirit severing temple's old monsters. They might have a way to track us. The other 6 plates are used to cover our tracks. Cover your tracks? You failed to break through? Hong Yun Tian frowned. In his opinion, The late bone transformation Lu Kuan and the Snow Soul Double Blades had nothing to fear. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with excitement. He told Hong Yintian about his plan to find the blood essence of the long-armed giant ape and integrate more frenzy intent into it to break through. Are you sure? When you break through to the late bone transformation stage, you can have 2 million gene of physical strength. Hong Yintian muttered, his eyes filled with shock. Lu Kuan handed over the jade slip map in his hand and said in a deep voice, "It only said that there is a high possibility. However, I still need Brother Hong to take a look at the map first. Is the blood essence of the long-armed giant ape left behind by the Yuan sect in the Broken Country?" Hong Yintian took the jade slip and said with a serious expression, "That is a treasure of the body, refining sect. I naturally know where it is. Let me take a look." After saying that, he looked at the map and carefully examined it. As expected, the ascension of the sect caused the Yuan country to fall into a space vortex and become fragmented. This should be the Yuan Bao Mountain of the past. This is the Nine Turns mountain range. The location of the ancient battlefield is actually the Yuan sect's mountain gate. That is the location of the ascension of the sect. Hong Yintian looked for a while and seemed to have thought of something. His expression suddenly changed. That's right, that monk said that when the Yuan country was fragmented, there was a pure demonic chi that flowed in. Could it be that the ascension of the sect caused a space vortex that created a gap in the demonic realm? When Lu Kuan heard this, his pupils constricted and he said, "You mean the ascension of the sect of the Yuan sect accidentally caused the space vortex to widen and caused a battle with the demonic realm?" Hong Yuntian's expression changed, and he said, "It is very likely. The Yuan country was the center of the immortal cultivation world during the ancient times. How could there be a battle with the demonic realm there?" He held the jade slip tightly in his hand, and his eyes flashed with an inexplicable expression. He said, "No wonder the Yuan's secret territory was located so far away from the Yuan country. It turns out that the Supreme Elder was protecting the disciples left behind in the immortal cultivation world. The ascension of the sect of the immortal cultivation world, withstanding the space vortex and facing the attack of the demonic realm. This," Lu Kuan muttered, shocked by the Yuan sect's actions. After a moment of silence, he said slowly, "This is just a guess. We will know the specifics once we reach the ancient battlefield. Brother Hong, have you found the location of the blood essence of the giant long-armed ape?" Hong Yuntian suppressed the throbbing in his heart and looked at the map again. Not long after, he said, "I found it. The North Pole Mountain. I didn't expect the Broken Country to have such a name. The space vortex here seems to be very dense." He pointed to a mountain range in the northern part of the Broken Country. There were densely packed space vortices there. After so many years, I can't guarantee that the blood essence is still there. Lu Kuan's face lit up and he said, "No matter what, we have to search for it. Time is tight. Let's go and prepare. We will set off in 3 days." Okay. Chapter 1260. In the northern part of the Great Zhou Dynasty, countless blue rays of light filled the sky. They were connected to each other and weaved together like a vast and boundless fishing net. These dense rays of light were the natural restrictions at the edge of the Broken Country. The cracks filled with the power of space were extremely small and could only allow things the size of a rabbit to pass through. However, with such close proximity to the spatial cracks, even if this rabbit had the protection of a nascent soul-level spiritual light, it could not resist the terrifying power that could tear everything apart. This continuous wall of spatial cracks only changed when it reached the Guyuan River in the center of the northern part of the Great Zhou Dynasty. At the end of this river that ran through the Great Zhou Dynasty, between the densely packed spatial cracks, the surging river water surged outwards. It was like thousands of waterfalls gathered together, crashing down with a deafening roar. In bursts of colorful mist, a large amount of river water mixed with spiritual energy, demonic energy, and a small amount of yin energy converged into the Guyuan River from the Broken Country. The violent spiritual energy storm could be felt hundreds of miles away. And on the surface of the river, about 10 miles away from the thousands of waterfalls, there was a huge island that flashed with astonishing spiritual light. Relying on the mysterious power of the array, it floated hundreds of feet high in the air. At the edge of the island, there were several giant spiritual boats that were hundreds of feet long. This island was the floating island where the Myriad Immortal Dock was located. The Myriad Immortal Dock was jointly established by the top immortal sects of the Great Zhou dynasty. In addition to building spiritual boats to facilitate the passage of cultivators, their biggest task was to guard the source of the Guiyuan River, the gate of the broken country. The abnormality of the spatial cracks 100 years ago was discovered by the Myriad Immortal Dock. Finally, the spirit-severing cultivators of the Great Zhou dynasty gathered together and used a secret technique to sense the broken country through the river water. Only then did they determine the abnormality of the secret realm. On this day, at the ferry at the edge of the floating island, close to 100 cultivators gathered. Each of them had a strong aura, and most of them were cultivators above the nascent soul stage. From time to time, there would be new escape lights flying over from the distant horizon. On the summit of a mountain in the center of the island stood 2 cultivators. One of them was a short old man with blue hair and a short body like a child. The other was a fat monk with big ears. They did not emit any aura and looked like ordinary mortals. The short blue-haired elder frowned and said, "Ji Yuan, is Master Lu really not giving us any face and not willing to meet with us?" Ji Yuan smiled bitterly and said, "Fellow Taoist Bing Ling, please understand. Master Lu's body tempering cultivation technique is special and has been coveted by the Supreme Profound Sect and the Saint Devil Sect. It's inevitable that he has some grudges against the Great Zhou Immortal Sect. But he promised me that he would meet us in the primordial battlefield half a year later to deal with the Demon King together." I Spirit Venerable was silent for a while and said, "He took all 8 5-spirit plates." Ji Yuan said awkwardly, "Master Lu doesn't want his disciples to miss out on this opportunity." He coughed and changed the topic. "Speaking of which, the body refining pavilion strength is really not simple. Other than Master Lu, I also met the body refining pavilion's first elder, but I couldn't see through his strength. The only one who could sense his cultivation was Yulong Fei, but he also gave me some pressure." I Spirit Venerable narrowed his eyes and thought of the ethereal sword Qi that Li Lanfeng mentioned. He sighed and said, "If that's the case, we won't force him." Ji Yuan chanted and said, "Great Spirit Lord Buddha, with a nascent soul realm body cultivator joining us, even if there are more demon generals in the primordial battlefield, it will be much easier to deal with them." I Spirit Venerable nodded and didn't say anything. He took out a jade slip, and the true essence in his body surged slightly, as if he was starting to study some kind of secret technique. Seeing this, a string of Buddhist beads appeared in Ji Yuan's hand, and he started to chant some kind of mysterious scripture. However, he didn't notice that I Spirit Venerable's powerful divine sense was secretly probing the group of nascent soul realm cultivators in the distance, silently sensing something. This Lu Kuan is indeed cautious. Fortunately, we expected this. Those 8 5-spirit plates were refined by Senior Brother and me using our true essence flames. There are special markings in them that can be sensed within a certain range. There are 2 of them here. After scanning for a while, I Spirit Venerable sensed something, and his divine sense, which was unique to soul formation cultivators, drifted over. They were 2 white-haired old men. Peak mid-nascent soul realm cultivators. This is Xingyun and Xie Sanyuan. How can 2 rogue demon cultivators have the body refining pavilion's 5 spirit plates? He narrowed his eyes and eavesdropped on the 2's telepathic conversation with his soul formation cultivator's powerful divine sense. Xie Sanyuan's divine sense said excitedly, "I didn't expect that we could get the 5 spirit plates. The primordial battlefield has more opportunities than outside. It is said that the Yuan school studies the most primitive demon cultivation techniques. As long as we gain something, we might even have a chance to reach the soul formation realm. Old Devil Xingyun said calmly. Opportunities come with risks. That is an area where demon kings roam, and there will be battles between soul formation cultivators. If we are not careful, we might die. C.S. Sanyuan said, haha, opportunities come with risks. The competition in the other areas of the Broken Kingdom is too fierce, but the primordial battlefield is different. Those soul formation cultivators are busy dealing with demon kings and strengthening the space seal. We will be fine as long as we are careful. But then again, the Southwest Chamber of Commerce is really resourceful to be able to auction off the 5 spirit plates. If we didn't run into them by chance, we might have missed it. Old Devil Xingyun said. The Southwest Chamber of Commerce is led by the Body Refining Pavilion. Maybe the 5 Spirit Temple refined it to be on good terms with them. Lu Kun, you dare to sell our 5 spirit plates? You really don't put the 5 Spirit Temple in your eyes. Ice Spirit Venerable heard this and couldn't help but feel a surge of anger. I don't believe that you sold them all. He suppressed his anger and left an undetectable divine sense mark on Xie, Sanyuan, and Old Devil Xingyun. Then, he continued to investigate the others. The others were distributed by us before. The Shattered Kingdom will open in a week. Could it be that no one from the Body Refining Pavilion has arrived yet? The auras of 4-5 spirit plates are approaching. He extended his divine sense into the distance. There were 2 streaks of light shooting towards the floating island. They were emitting powerful demonic energy fluctuations. There were 2 men and 2 women inside. One of the women had a chubby face. The demonic energy in her body was the densest, and she emitted the aura of a great cultivator. Beside her was a man with stiff skin. Ice Spirit Venerable could sense an obscure corpse aura, as well as a mid-nascent soul demonic energy that contained the Yin attribute. This woman's appearance and cultivation base are the blood-refining sex Lu Yanjun. This man's aura is a little strange. He seems to be a top-grade demonic zombie. Li Lanfeng once asked around. Lu Yanjun's Dao partner, Situ Hao, failed to break through and turned into a demonic zombie. He recognized the 2 people and looked at the other pair. The woman was beautiful and had a curvy figure. She emitted an enchanting charm. The man beside her was handsome and looked very young. Both of them were emitting energy fluctuations close to the peak of the mid-nascent soul stage. Su Junwen from the Yin-Yang sect? Their nascent soul auras are Yin and Yang respectively. They seem to have a special connection. Lu Kuan gave 4 of them to the blood-refining sect and the Yin-Yang sect. Ice Spirit Venerable's eyes were gloomy. His divine sense quietly penetrated the shields of these people and eavesdropped on their messages. The handsome young man was talking now. Fairy Lu, I heard that Taoist Qian is in seclusion to break through to the soul formation stage. How is it? Lu Yanjun's expression was ugly. It's not that easy to break through to the soul formation stage. Senior brother Qian has been in seclusion for many days. Although there were some vital energy phenomena, it was interrupted halfway. Senior brother's soul lamp was extinguished after that. Humph, that Lu Kuan didn't keep his word. He said he would protect senior brother Qian, but he didn't do anything. The man with the stiff face who looked like a demonic zombie suddenly said, Junior sister, be careful with your words. Master Lu isn't someone we can mess with. Besides, he gave us 2 5 spirit plates, giving us a chance to explore the ancient battlefield. Lu Yanjun looked around with some fear, but didn't say anything. At this moment, Su Junwen chuckled. Sister Lu, be content. Master Lu demanded an exorbitant price for the 2 5 spirit plates of the Yin-Yang sect. Our sect had to spend a lot of demonic materials to barely exchange for them. Sister, please calm down. Our sects need to support each other. In such a dangerous place, staying alive is the most important thing. Of course, as they spoke, they quickly landed on the edge of the floating island and gathered with the nascent soul cultivators. Ice Spirit Venerable was a bit irritated by their words. The Body Refining Pavilion only kept 2 5 spirit plates? Could it be that Lu Kuan sensed something and wants to use the 6 plates he gave away to confuse us? According to Wu Wenshuan, The demonic Dragon Blade's artifact spirit has been destroyed. Without the 5 spirit plates, it's unlikely that he can break through the ancient battlefield restrictions. Or could it be that this guy has a way to conceal the aura of the 5 spirit plates? Yeah, Senior Brother and the others are coming. Ice Spirit Venerable suddenly raised his head and looked toward the sky in the west. There seemed to be nothing there, but he could sense several terrifying auras shooting toward them. Chapter 1261. After a while, other than Ji Yuan and the Ice Spirit Venerable, 4 more people appeared on the central peak of the floating island. So, the owner of the body refining pavilion rejected our invitation? Ji Yuan, didn't you say that you have a good relationship with Lu Kuan? So you were bluffing. The one who spoke was a fat old man. He had a small mustache on his chubby face. His nose was pointed to the sky, and his small eyes were slightly slanted. He gave off a faint sense of sarcasm. He was the Grand Elder of the Blue Cloud sect, one of the soul formation cultivators of the Great Zhou dynasty, Mo Qing. Ji Yuan ignored his tone and said calmly, "Fellow cultivator Mo, please don't be offended. Master Lu is a bit wary of the Great Zhou immortal sect because of what happened before. It's normal for him to do this." Mo Qing looked at the fat monk's calm expression and felt a bit bored. He glanced at a young man in a green robe who was looking at the Guiyuan River and said sarcastically, "Someone is too greedy. If we had announced the body refining pavilion, this wouldn't have happened." The young man in the green robe was Gu Deming. He turned his head and snorted. "Old Monster Mo, if the Blue Cloud sect had discovered the body refining pavilion first, I'm afraid you would have done the same thing." Mo Qing said sarcastically, "Then I wouldn't have been like you, almost killed. I've never heard of a soul formation cultivator in such a sorry state. Even the sect couldn't protect you. You should have failed to break through. It's so embarrassing." "You." Gu Deming's face turned red and purple. But then an endless energy surged out of his body, and he calmed down quickly. He turned his head and didn't say a word. Wu Wenxuan couldn't help but say, "Old Monster Mo, it's not like you don't know the power of the Demon Dragon Blade. None of us here can handle alone, let alone fellow cultivator Gu who has just reached the soul formation stage." Mo Qing heard this and showed a disdainful expression. He was about to say something, but was interrupted by the Fire Spirit Venerable. "Old Monster Mo, put away your mockery. 2 fellow Taoists from the Demon Clan are here. Don't let us fight among ourselves." The other semi-god realm warriors seemed to have sensed something as well. They looked to the sky and saw a faint golden streak of light shooting toward them. The streak of light was surrounded by halos of spiritual primordial qi, emitting a horrifying demonic energy. All the cultivators on the floating island felt a suffocating pressure. The dermic powers in their bodies were even trembling. What a terrifying demonic aura! A manifestation of primordial qi? Is that a demon king? Could it be the Swanee Dragon King of the 5 Dragon Sea? If they met the Demon King anywhere else, these nascent soul stage cultivators would have run away immediately. However, the broken country was open and the semi-god realm cultivators of the Great Zhou dynasty were all gathered here. They were not afraid at all. Instead, they were discussing among themselves. As expected, the terrifying demonic aura quickly retracted when it approached the floating island. When the light landed on the central mountain peak, the terrifying aura disappeared without a trace. From the looks of it, this monster king is going to enter the broken country with the demigod realm senior. Could it be that the rumors are true? The space crack in the broken country is unstable. 2 demon kings will cross over. That's possible. I heard that the Master Lu from the Southwest cultivation world will come as well. The semi-god realm seniors team is unprecedentedly powerful. For us, this primordial battlefield is extremely dangerous. Most of the cultivators on the floating island were in the nascent soul stage. The rest were in the later stage of the core formation stage. Seeing that a demon king had joined the team, many of them became serious and felt a lot of pressure. Some of them even thought of retreating. On the mountain peak where the semi-god realm cultivators were, there was an extra man and a woman. It was not 1 demon king, as everyone had guessed, but 2. The man was 8 feet tall and wore a faint golden robe. He was the Swanee Dragon King of the 5-Dragon Sea. The woman, on the other hand, was plump. Her body was as thick as a bucket, and she was wearing a layer of dark red armor. However, her face was pretty and did not match her figure at all. She glanced at the human semi-god realm warriors around her with her glittering eyes, emitting a brutal vibe. Fire Spirit Supremacy sized up the huge woman and smiled. I didn't expect Fairy Jiao to come as well. She even sent out her Firehead clone. This way, our combined attacks will be even more powerful. It will be easier to fight the Demon King. Fairy Jiao didn't care about Flame Spirit Saint. She rolled her eyes and said with a bit of irritation, "Didn't they say there was a human who cultivated the body? Why don't I see him? I want to compete with him." Fire Spirit Supremacy sighed. "Master Lu doesn't plan to travel with us. I'm afraid we can only meet at the Primordial battlefield." Hearing that, Fairy Jiao lost her interest. She curled her lips and said, "He cultivates his physical body, but he's so timid. I guess his abilities are limited." Boring. Fire Spirit Supremacy smiled and said, "Master Lu isn't here. Let's discuss how to deal with the 2 Demon Kings." When the time comes, while he was talking, his divine consciousness merged with Ice Spirit Supremacy, Wu Wenxuan, Mo Qing, and the 2 Demon Kings. Gu Deming's eyebrows twitched. He seemed to have sensed something, but he did not say anything. Ji Yuan could not sense it either. In their divine consciousness, Ice Spirit Supremacy said, "Don't underestimate Lu Kuan. He is very alert. He took 8 5 spirit plates, but 6 of them are below. He gave them to the others. They are, using his divine consciousness, he told the others who had the body refining pavilion's 5 spirit plates. Other than the Demon Kings, their biggest target was Lu Kuan. They used their divine consciousness to check and found that the 6 people were all normal nascent soul cultivators. Wu Wenxuan, on the other hand, took a few more glances at the demonic zombie. There are still 2 plates that haven't appeared. Either Lu Kuan used a secret technique to hide them, or he didn't come. Ice Spirit Supremacy's divine consciousness was a little anxious. Mo Qing's divine consciousness echoed in everyone's divine consciousness. Tisk TSK. That means your 5-spirit pavilion has already lost 6 5-spirit plates. If he hid it from you, you will lose a lot of face. Fire Spirit Supremacy snorted and said, "Don't worry. When the broken country opens, there will be a chaotic tide. When the time comes, Junior Brother and I will use the 5-element Yuan Qi in the tide to activate the spiritual power in the 5-element plates. I will give you the secret technique to sense the fluctuations of the 5 spirit plates. When the broken country opens, we will investigate together. I don't believe that Lu Kuan can sneak in under our noses. If we find him, we will not do anything. Then, we will do this." A week passed quickly. There were more than 100 nascent soul cultivators gathered on the floating island. There were also 20 to 30 late core formation cultivators who were bold. At this time, almost all the cultivators stopped talking and stared at the thousands of waterfalls at the end of the Guyuan River. Many of the soul formation cultivators in the center of the floating island had gloomy expressions. Ji Yuan was also surprised. Among all the cultivators, they did not find Master Lu. Wu Wenxuan felt the primordial spirit in his body and sighed. The trace of his primordial spirit that entered the demonic dragon blade had mysteriously disappeared. Otherwise, he would have been able to find Lu Kuan's location. Now, he could only rely on the 5-spirit pavilion's method. Rumble. Suddenly, the surrounding heaven and earth spiritual chi violently fluctuated. The spatial crack at the end of the Guyuan River began to tremble, and strong spatial fluctuations spread out in all directions. The rumbling waterfall suddenly stopped in the air, and the rumbling sound that reverberated for dozens of kilometers also stopped. The waterfall shrank at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a while, it turned into a trickle and was then swallowed by the spatial crack. Then, the spatial crack that emitted a faint light also disappeared. What replaced it was a huge hole that was several kilometers long. Rays of gorgeous 5-colored light accompanied the river water. It was like a huge wave in the sea, covering the sky and the sun as it smashed into the vast river. When the cultivators on the floating island saw this, they all revealed anxious expressions. They turned into streaks of light and rushed towards the five-colored waves. This wave was the sign that the broken country had opened. However, when the river water subsided, the spatial crack at the entrance would reappear. It would only open again 5 years later. At this moment, apart from Ji Yuan, who didn't know what was going on, and Gu Deming, who didn't want to interfere, the other soul formation cultivators on the mountain all spread out their powerful divine senses and scanned every cultivator that entered the broken country. A distance of 5 kilometers was not long for late core formation stage and nascent soul stage cultivators. Soon, the last cultivator also passed through the huge waves. The soul formation stage cultivators' eyes flashed with bewilderment. Impossible! There is no aura of the 5 spirit plate. There are no other immortal cultivators within 100 square kilometers, either. Hee, this Lu Kuan is quite interesting. He seems to have fooled that monk. I'm afraid he didn't plan on entering the broken country. Then aren't we wasting our efforts? The few of them secretly communicated with their divine senses. Bai and Dragon King and Fairy Jiao seemed to have thought of something. They silently retreated a few steps and looked at the others with vigilance. Seeing this, Ji Yuan was slightly stunned and asked, "What's wrong? Aren't we going in?" Venerable Fiery Spirit said in a deep voice, "By a three-headed dragon, our real goal this time is to deal with the Demon King. No matter what, this Venerable has promised you a lot." Bai and Dragon King heard this and thought about the agreement he signed with Venerable Fiery Spirit not long ago. He ruled out the possibility of these people using Lu Kuan as an excuse to ambush him, and nodded slightly. At this moment, Venerable Fiery Spirit said, if he really went in without being detected, then he will definitely go to the primordial battlefield. Let's capture the 6 people who have the 5 spirit plates of the body, refining pavilion, and interrogate them. They might know something. At the very least, we will meet in half a year. After dealing with the Demon King, we will have plenty of time. If Lu Kuan doesn't come, or if he is hiding from us, then we will wait for the broken country to end and go to the body, refining pavilion together. That's the only way. All right, let's do that. Without the broken country, the body refining pavilion can't be controlled. Let's go. Following Venerable Fiery Spirit's words, everyone turned into streaks of light and shot towards the huge waves that were starting to recede. Chapter 1262. Behind the raging waves was a river as vast as the Guiyuan River. However, the sky above the river was dotted with sparse blue light. The entrance to the Broken Kingdom was located at the edge of the river. On the wall of the spatial rift, there was a huge hole with a diameter of over 10 miles. Endless waves rolled inside. In the turbulent river water, cultivators shot out like ants. After these people passed through the entrance, they scattered and flew in all directions along the river. Although there were spatial rifts inside the Broken Kingdom, they were very sparse. 4 high-level cultivators, they didn't have much of an effect. Those with great cultivators had already flown dozens of miles away. Among them, there was a group of 2 men and 2 women from the Blood Refining sect and the Yin-Yang sect. They were flying north along the river. Su Junwen glanced at the handsome man beside her. Although her expression was normal, her heart was filled with fear. At this time, there was only the extreme Yin nascent soul in her dantian. The other extreme Yang nascent soul was in this man's body. Through the Yin-Yang mother-child art, she could clearly sense the 2 terrifying wills floating above the extreme Yang nascent soul. They were like sharp swords against her neck. It seemed that with a slight tremble, they could completely destroy the second nascent soul that she had painstakingly cultivated. What level has Master Lu reached? There are 2 types of wills in his body. One is the true devil will, and the other seems to be filled with a violent aura. Has he already entered the soul formation stage? Also, why doesn't he have a dantian in his body? Why are his meridians so tough that the extreme Yang nascent soul can freely circulate in them even more smoothly than in my body? Su Junwen secretly looked at the appearance of the man beside her. The fear in the depths of her eyes deepened. Without using any spells, he can change his face and body shape to be exactly the same as Junior Martial Brother Meng's. With such a mysterious concealment ability, I'm afraid even soul formation cultivators won't be able to detect his existence. Master Lu's strength is almost at the soul formation stage. Why is he doing this? Is he planning to sneak attack those old monsters? Is my second nascent soul going to be abandoned? When Su Junwen thought of this, he felt even more bitter. A year ago, she was comprehending the Three Pure Ones mystic technique when Lu Kuan and a bald man snuck into the Yin Yang sect without anyone noticing. They directly broke into her cave abode. Not only did Lu Kuan force her to go to the Broken Country with him, he even took away Extreme Yang's nascent soul and stuffed it into his body, using Extreme Yang's demonic energy to conceal his aura. Su Junwen's cultivation wasn't weak, and he didn't fear any great cultivators. But in the face of this Master Lu, he didn't have the strength to resist at all. In order to preserve his life, he could only allow himself to be manipulated by the other party. From the looks of it, he doesn't know that I'm investigating the body refining pavilion for the Five Spirits Temple. The location of the Yin Yang sect can also be used as a buffer zone for the body refining pavilion. He probably won't kill me. I just have to find a way to protect the second nascent soul. Su Junwen's mind spun, trying to think of a way to escape. On the other side, Lu Yanjun carefully looked at the demonic zombie beside her that was emitting a faint corpse aura. Her lips were a little dry. What kind of existence is that bald, horse-faced man? Is he also a body cultivator of the body refining pavilion? How can his physical body turn into a pool of liquid? It's as if he's taken over Senior Brother's demonic zombie body. The devil refining art's mystic technique didn't react at all. There's only a faint connection to his divine soul. Although Senior Brother was refined into a demonic zombie by the Great Elder, his physical body is still that of a human. He can't perfectly filter out the true demonic intent, causing the Great Elder to fail in his breakthrough. But now, her great cultivator-level divine sense casually scanned the demonic zombie's body, and a look of surprise flickered in the depths of her eyes. Under that stiff skin, there are bulging muscles. The oppressive feeling coming from that body completely surpasses that of the Great Elders. Its aura is more like that of a real demonic zombie. That bald, horse-faced man can strengthen the body of a demonic zombie, but this sort of heaven-defying supernatural ability often has an enormous flaw. The demonic zombie is about to break through with the help of the Great Elder's remnant nascent soul. If Lu Yanjun was incomparably depressed, she was a bit better off than Su Junwen. At the very least, Master Lu had paid a visit and asked about the Great Elder's breakthrough before asking her for help. Forget it. The Great Elder is already dead. Even if we have a great cultivator-level demonic zombie, it won't be able to contend with the body refining pavilion. We might as well assist Master Lu and protect the blood refining pavilion in the future. Once he lets us leave, we can explore the Shattered Nation. Perhaps there will be a lucky chance there. The handsome youth didn't know what the two female cultivators were thinking. He was recalling the scenes of the past few days. With the sensitivity of my nerves, I can clearly feel the divine sense of a soul formation cultivator sweeping over me. There were around 5 divine senses, no 6. They were all extremely brief and didn't fluctuate much. It was clear they didn't see through my deity. When the first divine sense swept over me, the 5 spirits plate in the storage pouch at my waist had a strange movement. The old guys of the 5 spirits temple can really track this magic tool. This handsome youth was Lu Kuan. Although he and Hong Yin Tian could hide their aura, if a soul formation cultivator couldn't detect their aura, it would be the most obvious flaw. Therefore, he had a brainwave. With the help of Su Junwen's second nascent soul and the demonic zombie of the blood refining pavilion, he took the initiative to release his nascent soul-level aura and pass it off as a fake. The 4 of them had 5 spirits plates in the storage pouches at their waists. Lu Kuan also asked old Devil Xing Yun to cooperate and sell them to the rogue cultivator, surnamed Xie, to divert attention. As for the last two 5 spirits plates, he sealed them with the blood crystallization technique and wrapped them with Dragonbreaker stone powder into an irregular shape. They were then accidentally picked up by the disciples of the myriad immortal Doc. The 2 disciples of the myriad immortal Doc are still on the floating island. Through the blood crystallization technique, the 5 spirits plates are still in their storage pouches and haven't been discovered by those old guys. This means that the blood seal and Dragonbreaker stone powder can isolate them from being tracked. However, Lu Kuan secretly glanced at his calf. When the first soul formation cultivator scanned it, he left a divine sense mark on it. These old guys are really cautious. The others must have been marked as well. Thinking of this, he turned his head and saw that old Devil Xing Yun and Xie Sanyuan had already separated and were heading in different directions. He whispered, "Guys, let's speed up." "Okay." As they spoke, the power of the nascent soul emerged from their bodies. The black light suddenly became brighter. They were equivalent to a grand cultivator and 3 mid-nascent soul cultivators. When they burst out with their full strength, their speed was very shocking. After entering the broken country, many teams sped up. Their actions didn't attract any attention. However, when the black light shone, Lu Kuan's palm suddenly pressed on the shoulder of the demonic zombie. A small hole appeared in the center of his palm, and purplish-black liquid gushed out from the latter's shoulder and drilled into the hole in his palm. Lu Yanjun was shocked. She suddenly found that the connection between her and the demonic zombie was recovering at an extremely fast speed. Then, a cold and arrogant voice came through her soul. "You and the demonic zombie fly in different directions. After 10,000 miles, the mission will be completed." At the same time, Lu Kuan's soul also transmitted to the extreme young nascent soul in his body. "Fairy Su, let's split up. Nascent soul will borrow you for a period of time. After 10,000 miles, I'll set you free." Then his palm left the demonic zombie. The latter's body seemed to have lost its moisture and wrinkled a lot. Its skin looked even stiffer. Some purplish-black hair even appeared on its skin. When Lu Yanjun and Su Junwen heard the sound transmission, they both revealed happy expressions. Then the demonic energy in their bodies surged. The pitch-black combined light instantly split into 4 and shot off in different directions. Just as they finished this step, at the edge of the river, at the gradually closing entrance of the broken country, several powerful auras emitting halos of various colors appeared. These people exchanged a few words with each other, as if they had their own matters to deal with. They flew off in different directions. Some of them didn't conceal themselves, and some of them became faintly discernible, disappearing into the air. At the same time, Lu Kuan, who was flying with the help of Su Junwen's second nascent soul, felt a terrifying divine sense descend on him. His nerves couldn't help but tremble. He narrowed his eyes, and one of his eyeballs turned upside down. He hid the golden eye divine ability in his mind and looked behind him. Soon, he discovered 6 streaks of light flying in the direction of the 6 cultivators carrying the 5 spirit plates. Lu Kuan couldn't help but coldly snort in his heart. These old fogies, they actually followed these nascent soul cultivators personally. As expected, they have designs on me. Chapter 1263. Su Junwen flew rapidly in the air, and her eyes flashed with relief. As long as she was 10,000 miles away, Lu Kuan would release the second nascent soul, and with the nascent soul's teleportation ability, she would be able to reunite with her main body very quickly. Strange, why would Master Lu fly 10,000 miles away? Our role is to cover him as he enters the broken nation. That's right, he didn't take the 5 spirit plate and flew separately. Could it be? She seemed to have thought of something, and her expression changed slightly. Spiritual light flashed in her hand, and a colorful plate appeared. It was flashing with a mysterious aura. At this moment, Su Junwen suddenly felt an unfathomable divine sense enveloping her. It even contained a chilling intent that could freeze her soul and her divine sense and demonic power. She immediately slowed down. The power of intent. Soul formation stage divine sense. Damn it. I've been used as bait by Lu Kuan. Just as she was thinking, a voice came from that terrifying divine sense. I didn't expect Fairy Su to enter the Broken Nation. I remember that you rejected Li Lanfeng's 5-spirit plate. When Su Junwen heard the name Li Lanfeng, she hesitated and said, "Is it the soul formation stage senior from the 5-spirit temple?" That divine sense continued. "I am Supremacy Ice Spirit. Since you have cooperated with our sect before, as long as you tell me Lu Kuan's whereabouts, I will spare your life. Otherwise, I will search your soul and get the answer I want." For Master Lu? Su Junwen's expression changed, and there was a hint of fear amidst her hesitation. Supremacy Ice Spirit's voice came again. "I don't care what Lu Kuan offered. As long as you tell him what you did, what do you think will happen to the Yin Yang sect?" Su Junwen's face turned pale as she thought of Master Lu's style of doing things. She gritted her teeth and said, "I know Master Lu's whereabouts, and I can even track his location. However, I will have to pay a great price. I hope Senior can agree to a request of mine." Supremacy Ice Spirit immediately reacted. Lu Kuan had already entered the Broken Nation. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been tracked. He said in a deep voice, "You dare to bargain with me? You are courting death." In the time it took to say those 2 sentences, Su Junwen's divine sense could already sense a figure more than 50 kilometers away. And "Okay, I agree. Wait for me here." Following these words, the terrifying pressure in Su Junwen's perception gradually receded. The coldness in the other party's consciousness also receded. Although the pressure was greatly reduced, her beautiful face revealed some bitterness. Lu Kuan flew on the river. The divine transformation realm cultivator following him didn't reveal his aura. He pretended that he didn't know and continued to fly. He secretly used the golden eyes to observe the scene behind him. He didn't know if it was because he was too far away or the golden eyes wasn't powerful enough, but he couldn't see anyone for the time being. Su Junwen's second nascent soul is only at the peak of the middle stage. It is too slow. According to the estimation of the speed of a divine transformation realm cultivator, it should be almost 50 kilometers away now. As for the distance between me and the other 5, it should be more than 300 kilometers. Just in case, I should go further. Lu Kuan thought to himself. In the meantime, he sent a message to Hong Yuntian, who was in the liquid state residing in his chest through his nervous system. "Brother Hong, a divine transformation realm cultivator is coming. Get ready. We will perform the fusion technique as soon as he shows up." The purple-black liquid trembled slightly. There was coldness in its voice as it said, "These guys are still coveting the body-tempering arts. Humph. They won't learn their lesson if I don't teach them a lesson." As it spoke, an octagonal crystal emerged from the black liquid. Then, tentacles separated from the crystal and crawled from the chest to the spine and the bones of the limbs. After a while, Lu Kuan's pupils contracted. "I see it. This guy is 15 kilometers away." With the help of the golden eyes, he managed to catch a glimpse of a vague shadow that was approaching at an astonishing speed. 25 kilometers, 20 kilometers, 10 kilometers, 5 kilometers. "Brother Hong, get ready." "Huh? Wait." Lu Kuan suddenly exclaimed in his mind. "What's wrong?" Hong Yuntian asked. "Strange. That guy slowed down and maintained a distance of 5 kilometers. He didn't hurry to catch up with us." At such a close distance, Lu Kuan could barely make out the figure with the help of his divine ability. It was a plump old man with squinted eyes and a small mustache above his mouth. "He's hiding behind us." Seeing such a weird scene, Lu Kuan pondered for a moment. He communicated with the nascent soul of extreme yang inside his body and asked, "Fairy Su, is anyone following you right now?" The nascent soul that looked like a cute little boy said hesitantly, "Master Lu, my cultivation art is special. I have a feeling that someone is spying on my body. However, after checking with my consciousness, there are no immortal cultivators within 50 kilometers. I wonder if it's just an illusion." "Got it. Keep flying." Contact me immediately if anything goes wrong. Okay. Hearing this, Lu Kuan sent his consciousness into his ribs. Through the 10,000 miles talisman, he communicated with old demon Xingyun. Old demon Xingyun replied that there were no immortal cultivators following them. He had some doubts and said to Hong Yintian, "These semi-god realm cultivators are secretly following the immortal cultivators with the 5 spirit plates. Although I don't know what they're planning, we could take the opportunity to fly further away." Hong Yintian agreed. It's good to fly further away. However, if that guy comes closer, we'll attack him directly. At least we'll injure him severely. Okay. Then Lu Kuan maintained the speed of the peak of the intermediate nascent soul stage. He observed the surroundings and compared them with a map of the Broken Kingdom. The vast river below him was called the Deyuan River. It was the upstream of the Guiyuan River. The demonic spiritual qi was mixed with many strange creatures. There were even caves of ancient cultivators at the bottom of the river. Immortal cultivators below the intermediate nascent soul stage wouldn't go deep into the Broken Kingdom. The Deyuan River alone was enough for them to explore. Time passed by slowly. Lu Kuan kept an eye on the semi-god realm old man behind him as he flew along the river. After flying for more than 1,000 miles, he could already see the vast mountain range on the riverbank. The sky was filled with blue rays that looked like thin and long clouds, decorating the sky. It seemed like there were more spatial cracks on the land compared to the Deyuan River. This guy is still following us. He's already more than 1,000 miles away. He looked at the old man a few miles away and was surprised. During this period of time, he had communicated with Su Junwen and old demon Xingyun. The former still had the feeling of being spied on, but they didn't notice anyone following them. The 6 semi-god realm cultivators are following us. But why aren't they attacking us? If there's no great benefit for them, why would they waste their time on nascent soul stage cultivators? We're far enough away now. Even if there's a battle, the other semi-god realm cultivators won't follow us for a while. Lu Kuan made up his mind. Brother Hong, we can't figure out what those old men are thinking. Let's just use our skills and leave. There are more spatial cracks on the land. It's more suitable for flying. All right. At the same time, he said to the nascent soul of Extreme Yang, Fairy Su, your second nascent soul can leave now. Su Junwen's voice was heard. Didn't Master Lu say that we're going to fly 10,000 miles away? I'm not waiting anymore. You can leave now. As he spoke, Lu Kuan withdrew the aura of the snow soul inner bladder and released the restraints on the nascent soul of Extreme Yang. Right at this moment, his expression suddenly changed, and the divine sense that had locked onto him was no longer concealed, openly revealing itself, and a sense of ridicule and mockery spread out. Other than that, 5 other divine consciousnesses appeared out of nowhere. They were mixed with all kinds of horrifying wills and rushed toward his body. Oh no! Waves of qi and blood surged out of Lu Kuan's body like an ocean. They formed layers of crystallized armor under his skin, trying to stop the invasion of these wills. As soon as he finished doing all this, he felt a surge of violent energy surging out from his waist. The nascent soul of Extreme Yang, which looked like a little boy, blurred and emitted a deep black light. Su Junwen, damn it, I've been tricked. In the next moment, the peak mid-stage nascent soul that was under Lu Kuan's organs directly exploded inside his body. Chapter 1264. Along with the violent energy, the muscle fibers in Lu Kuan's abdomen were torn apart one by one like woven bags. A dark and deep light seemed to be bound by some invisible force. It turned into a beam of light and shot into the sky. The self-destruction of a nascent soul at the peak of the middle stage was equivalent to the attack of a grand cultivator. It stirred up waves of spirit qi. It blew up his defense. He's indeed the same as those fiends. His body is his biggest weakness. Those divine consciousnesses that contained willpower seemed to have a tacit understanding. They rushed into the hole in his abdomen, trying to suppress him with their combined willpower. But then, they were blocked by the surging energy inside. The torn muscles were reconstructed, and the abdomen was soon restored to its original state. The divine consciousnesses of those soul formation cultivators were surprised to find that his internal organs seemed to be intact. There was even a silver-black metallic luster on the surface of his internal organs. Even the defense of his internal organs is so strong. He's not hurt. What is this guy's blood made of? It can resist the willpower. Primordial chi chains, don't let him leave. The divine consciousnesses of the soul formation cultivators communicated in a flash. When they found that the other party was not badly hurt, their willpower immediately intertwined. The spirit chi around them turned into many white halos that were comparable to primordial chi. They were like ropes that kept appearing in the sky and tied up the burly body that was caught off guard. This kind of divine ability to control primordial chi dozens of miles away could only be performed by pseudo-soul formation cultivators in their own primordial chi areas. But now, with their combined willpower, they could also do the same in other areas. At the same time, with Lu Kuan as the center, there were beams of light flying toward him from all directions. Those beams of light were surrounded by primordial chi halos and powerful energy. They were all soul formation cultivators. They had formed a large encirclement without anyone noticing. They had been waiting for Su Junwen's second nascent soul to explode to create an opportunity for them to fight. Boom! The primordial chi ropes had just wrapped around him twice when they shattered into white halos. Everyone's willpower and divine consciousnesses felt an unimaginable force exploding inside. The control of the primordial chi they were controlling was directly taken away. The scattered vital chi did not disappear, and all of it surged into the body inside. In addition, there was also demonic vital chi in the surroundings. The two types of yuan chi intertwined, forming a layer of black and white light film. It was like a layer of special armor, exuding a terrifying pressure formed from yuan chi. Did this guy transform? Aren't you going to transform into a giant ape? What kind of monster is this? When the 6 semi-god realm warriors saw what was under the primordial chi, they were all surprised. This was a strange humanoid creature. Its body was longer than the original Lu Kuan, and its neck was thick. Its back was bent, and there was a row of sharp bone spurs on its back. It looked like a swordback lizard. Under the black and white yuan chi armor, the surface of its skin was covered in purple-black scales. Although they were surprised by this change, these semi-god realm warriors did not stop casting spells. They continued to manipulate the chi of heaven and earth around them. The chubby old man who had been following Lu Kuan all this time, Mo Ching of the Blue Cloud sect, had already arrived 1,000 feet away. A dark yellow ring was floating in front of him, and the surrounding spiritual essence was spontaneously curling around the magic treasure. His hands were quickly forming some kind of mysterious spell, and the vital chi in his body was surging. The magic treasure vibrated and disappeared on the spot. It appeared directly outside the body of the humanoid monster, as if it had teleported. A steady stream of spiritual vital chi converged inside, and the shadow of a mountain appeared. With an extremely heavy aura, it bound the purple-black scaled monster to the spot. At the same time, 3 terrifying auras were approaching rapidly from other directions. In the east, there was a small knife emitting a dark purple halo. In the process of flying, it was constantly gathering demonic vital chi. The light was getting deeper and deeper, as if it could suck in people's souls. In the other 2 directions, there was a fire snake and an ice snake. They were completely made of ice and fire vital chi. Each of their scales was clearly visible, as if they were real. Sharp teeth were exposed in their mouths, and there was a fist-sized pearl in each of their mouths. The pearl exuded a terrifying aura of heat and ice. Wherever it passed, the spiritual vital chi would be scorched and frozen. Seeing this, the humanoid monster let out a muffled groan. The air within a 1-foot radius around its body began to ripple violently. The shadow of the mountain that enveloped it began to twist, and the dark yellow ring began to slide above its body. Mo Qing's expression changed. He could feel a formless and terrifying power pressing down on his ring of mountain suppression. Furthermore, within a 1-foot radius around the humanoid monster, he was unable to compete for spiritual vital qi even with the help of this divine spirit treasure. Is this the special power of the primordial spirit that Wu Wenjun mentioned? Only a divine transformation stage, Cultivator, can have this kind of suppressive power. And that formless power should be the Demon King's special ability. But why is Lu Kuan's so much stronger? Even the Demon King has to borrow the power of his demonic vital qi to break free from the ring of mountain suppression. He seems to be relying only on his physical strength. Even as he was astonished, Mo Qing didn't give up. He continued to channel his spiritual vital qi in an attempt to resist, but he was still unable to withstand the overwhelming power of his opponent. In less than a few breaths, the ring of mountain suppression had been squeezed out. Then, the humanoid monster turned around and kicked out, sending the magic treasure flying. However, this short delay allowed the demonic essence blade and the 2 spiritual vital qi snakes to rush over. The humanoid monster's eyes were calm. His body flashed, and he transformed into a series of afterimages as he dodged to the side. However, the 3 attacks seemed to have locked onto him. They continued to pursue him in a curved line. The spiritual vital qi on them was still being compressed, and their speed and agility were rapidly increasing. The 2 sides chased each other for a few rounds in the air. The 3 attacks had already converged into a beam of spiritual vital qi. The humanoid monster squinted his eyes and stopped dodging. He curled up his body and bent his legs to his lower abdomen. His calves crossed, forming a cross. The arms on his upper body also crossed, his elbows pressed against his knees. His forelimbs formed a double cross in front of his body. In the 7 intersecting holes between his arm and leg bones, a spiritual vital qi vortex lit up. Spiritual vital qi intertwined within, forming 7 vortexes. They emitted an endless suction force and a terrifying stirring force. Boom! Violent spiritual vital qi surged into the sky. Red, blue, black, and white lights formed a mushroom cloud, exploding on the surface of the water. The river water below was squeezed by this terrifying pressure, forming a giant whirlpool with a diameter of 100 feet. Rings of waves mixed with spiritual vital qi surged out in all directions. Within a radius of a few hundred miles, all the creatures that sensed this terrifying power began to madly flee into the distance. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Amidst the roaring waves, there were suddenly 3 ear-piercing sounds. Mo Qing seemed to have discovered something. His expression changed. The Zhenyu hoop had appeared around his body at some point. A yellow halo flashed. Streaks of spiritual vital qi formed the phantom of a yellow mountain and wrapped around his body. Clang! Just as he finished doing all this, a flying knife a few inches long was stuck in the phantom of the mountain. It made a crisp sound. However, the flying knife did not contain any spiritual vital qi. It only had a terrifying force that was blocked by the phantom. Seeing this scene, Mo Qing recalled the battle that Wu Wenxuan had described. He looked forward cautiously and caught 2 other rustling sounds. It was the profound ice pearl and profound fire pearl of the 5 spirits temple venerables. The 2 pearls also contained a terrifying power. They each exploded in the air and blasted out 2 invisible figures. One of them was the Swanee Dragon King. His eyes were solemn. He used his right hand to block in front of him. A layer of faint golden spiritual vital qi flickered on it. He grabbed the profound ice pearl with his dragon claw. On the other side was the chubby and delicate 3-headed dragon. She stared blankly at her chest. The mystical fire bead had hit her armor, and the violent force had even caused a small crack to appear on it. Afterwards, the 2 pearls of ice fire and the demonic essence blade flashed one after another. They reversed in 3 directions and landed in the hands of the 5 spirits temple venerables and Wu Wenxuan respectively. After this short battle, all the semi-god realm cultivators had come closer. Right now, their formation was very cautious. The three-headed serpent and the Swanee Dragon King were within 60 feet of the humanoid monster. The other four were 50 feet away. 2 demon kings and 4 semi-god realm cultivators. You really think highly of me, Lu Kuan, to use such a large force. The humanoid monster didn't open his mouth. A low voice came out from his stomach. It was full of sarcasm. Hearing this, Mo Qing stroked his mustache. He shook his head and said, "The demon race is indeed good at disguising. You actually lied about being Master Lu. Stop quibbling. We have received clear information that there is a demon king who survived from the ancient times hiding among the cultivators. Since you have been discovered by us, you don't have to hide anymore." The humanoid monster was slightly stunned. Then he squinted his eyes and snorted. "Old man, you are asking for a beating. You are using the Qingyun sect's Zhan Yu Hoop. You must be Mo Qing." He glanced around. "Ice and fire elemental spiritual vital qi. You two are the 5 spirits temple venerables. This one's presence is somewhat familiar. You must be the Swanee Dragon King of the 5 Dragons Sea. Hey, which demon king are you from? You seem to be the weakest. How dare you come to fight Lu?" When the bloated woman heard that, she said angrily, "Bullshit. What weakest? This old lady is the Eastern Sea's 3-headed flood dragon king. This is only 1/3 of my clone. Brat, you are quite strong. Do you dare to spar with this old lady's main body?" Lu Kuan ignored her. He looked at the last old man with a hooked nose. He said slowly, "Wu Wenxuan, Lu didn't attack you last time. Why? Do you want to try the Demon Dragon Blade this time?" Wu Wenxuan's face darkened. Just as he was about to say something, the fire spirit venerable on the other side said, "Listening to your tone, you do sound a bit like Master Lu. However, our sources are very reliable. If you are really Master Lu, you must prove your identity." As Lu Kuan was speaking, he silently absorbed a bottle of stored blood in his body to replenish his previous consumption. A layer of black and white spiritual vital qi appeared around his body again. He stared at the red-haired old man and said slowly, "How do you want to prove it?" The fire spirit venerable smiled and said, "Many years ago, Master Lu once exchanged cultivation experiences with us. As long as you tell us everything about the body refinement technique, we can verify it with each other. Then, we will be able to prove your identity." Chapter 1265. Hearing what Fire Spirit Master said, Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with anger. He clenched his fists and said in a cold voice, "You are a group of sanctimonious old men. You can even come up with such an excuse in order to get Lu's cultivation method." Ice Spirit Master said lightly, "So, you don't want to prove your identity with the cultivation method?" Lu Kuan sneered. "What if I say that this cultivation method can only be practiced before the age of 50, and it can only be derived to the later stage of the nascent soul realm? Even if a core formation or nascent soul realm cultivator gets it, it will be useless, let alone the soul formation realm. Then, would you still want it?" Fire Spirit Master was stunned for a moment. He shook his head and said, "You are indeed a cunning devil. You can lie easily. If it can only be derived to the later stage of the nascent soul realm, then how can a Master Lu of the Body Refining Pavilion have the combat ability of a soul formation realm cultivator? As for whether or not you can practice it, humph. We can even transform the cultivation method of the devil race into a devil art, let alone a cultivation method that is suitable for humans. Stop talking nonsense. Either you hand over the cultivation method to prove your identity, or we will take you down together." As he said that, all the soul formation realm cultivators around released their own energy. 6 powerful, true essences accompanied by the wills of the primordial spirits pressed forward like an unclimbable mountain. Lu Kuan didn't have any Dharma power or devil chi in his body. The true essences had a limited effect on him. However, the layer of primordial chi on the surface of his body trembled slightly under the pressure of the 6 wills of the primordial spirits. Although the original force field under the combination spell contained the true essence force of a real primordial spirit, it only covered an area of 1 foot. Under the joint efforts of the 6 pseudo-soul formation realm cultivators, the primordial chi of heaven and earth was about to go out of control. Feeling such terrifying energy, Lu Kuan's tone became colder. Very well. Lu was soft-hearted last time. This time, I won't hold back anymore. If you want to take me down, you have to be prepared to die. While speaking, his chest rose and fell slightly. There were 2 special forces faintly surging. Fire Spirit Master sensed that. His pupils contracted. He hurriedly said with his immortal will, "Do it." As he said that, everyone took action. 4 light balls with different auras shot out from the bodies of the 4 semi-god realm cultivators in the outer circle. The red ball of light contained a blazing intent. The blue ice crystal contained a cold intent. The dark yellow ball contained a disgusting, mocking aura, and the last one emitted a brutal intent. As soon as they left their bodies, they appeared around Lu Kuan as if they had teleported. Among them, the red and blue balls of light fused into a large ball. Their aura skyrocketed and turned into a chain, binding Lu Kuan's deformed body that was covered in purplish-black scales. The other 2 balls of light followed closely behind, turning into a thin circle of yellow-black chains that wrapped around it. The 4 spirit severing stage cultivators seemed to have been prepared for this. They teleported a part of their primordial spirits out of their bodies and used the primordial spirit chains, which were more than twice as strong as the primordial spirit chains from before. The black and white light film covering Lu Kuan's body directly shattered, and the white spiritual yuan turned into specks of spiritual light, adding to the opponent's primordial spirit instead. At the same time, the Swanee Dragon King and the 3-headed dragon rushed over. Their bodies had already changed. The former's yellow robe melded with his body, turning into light golden fur and scales. His human face was twisted into the shape of a dragon and a tiger, and a light golden whip appeared in his hand. The 3-headed dragon's bloated body contracted and elongated. In addition to the 4 limbs, there was an extra leg in the middle of its body, and its face turned into a red dragon head. Its entire body was like a red snake with 5 legs, and each of its 5 dragon claws was holding a dagger that looked like a tooth, which emitted a faint red glow. The Swanee Dragon King quickly approached. A layer of light appeared on his soft whip, and he swung it at Lu Kuan's arms, trying to add another layer of restraint to the primordial spirit chains. The red snake grabbed the dagger that was flashing with yellow light and rushed towards Lu Kuan's legs, as if it wanted to lock his legs. The 2 monster kings' vital essence surged. Near such a powerful primordial spirit chains, they could not mobilize their spiritual vital essence. They had to activate their vital essence to unleash the power of the weapons in their hands. The Divine Transformation Realm cultivators had rich battle experience. Lu Kuan took the time to catch his breath and recover his blood. These old monsters secretly gathered their vital essence and separated their primordial spirits. They knew that their opponent's advantage was speed, so they suppressed their opponent's control of vital essence as soon as they attacked. At the same time, they used their powerful vital essence to restrain his body. When the Divine Transformation Realm cultivators attacked and performed the primordial spirit chains first, Lu Kuan also made his move. His arms swelled up, and the scales on the surface cracked inch by inch. Strange blades suddenly squeezed out from between his muscles. These thick muscle fibers twisted crazily like hemp ropes, squeezing and binding these blades together. In the blink of an eye, a pair of deformed blade arms were formed, and they were a mixture of flesh and metal. The right blade arm shone with 5-colored flowing light, while the left blade arm was purplish-black. They seemed to have grown on the arms, and they were completely attached to the muscles and scales. There were also 2 unique wills surging inside, weapons growing out of flesh, the Devil King's true devil will, the Demon King's frenzied will. What the hell is this? Those semi-god realm warriors were dumbfounded by what they saw. Before the surprise on their faces took shape, Lu Kuan's dark purple saber arm on his left was surging with surging chi and blood and an invisible force field. The surrounding spiritual essence didn't move, but the devil essence gathered crazily, forming a layer of purplish-black blade aura that was 1 foot long outside the blade arm. There were many mysterious runes flashing on the solidified aura. A terrifying energy rose up, making the 3 primordial spirit chains around it start to tremble. Lu Kuan gritted his teeth. The flesh and blood in his body surged to his shoulder joints, making his shoulders bulge as if he was wearing shoulder pads. Then, he waved the devil blade arm in his left hand with a force of 2 million pounds. Boom! The left side of the 3 primordial spirit chains was cut off by the purplish-black blade aura. There was a gap in the suppression of the surrounding spiritual essence. A faint white blade aura appeared on his right blade arm. From the appearance of the primordial spirit chains to the strange blade arm growing on Lu Kuan's arm, all these changes happened in a flash. He had just been trapped and was about to break free in the next second. Immortal cultivators below the divine transformation realm wouldn't have been able to react in time. But once a cultivator entered the divine transformation realm, their thoughts and reactions would enter a whole new level. The old monsters immediately reacted. The golden soft whip that Dragon King was planning to use to bind Lu Kuan's arms quickly turned and wrapped around the purplish-black blade arm. He noticed that the primordial spirit of the left and right blade arms had different attributes. Under the suppression of the 3 divine transformation realm cultivators, the primordial spirits, the right blade arm could hardly be used. But Wu Wenxuan was the only one who couldn't suppress the deformed devil blade arm. If they allowed Lu Kuan to completely break the primordial spirit chain and release the other blade arm that controlled the primordial spirit, they would lose the opportunity to strike first. The golden soft whip was like a nimble snake coiling around the devil blade arm that was still cutting the primordial spirit chains. Boom! The pale golden true essence and the black blade aura intertwined violently. Swanee Dragon King's expression changed as he almost loosened his grip on the whip. The saber gleam that seemed to be a divine soul treasure had nullified the might of his whip, but it still contained an incomparably savage power. If it weren't for the true essence, the weapon might have fallen out of his hand. He had to grab the soft whip with both hands and fully activate his true essence to resist the power of the opponent. Even so, Lu Kuan's left devil blade arm wasn't bound. It continued to cut at the primordial spirit chains that had collapsed. It was only a bit slower. Fortunately, the 3-headed flood dragon rushed over at this moment and used its 5 sharp daggers to block the purplish-black saber light. Only then did the demon saber arm become unable to move. The 4 divine transformation realm cultivators in the distance also made a new move. Their primordial spirits that had collapsed gathered again. The 2 chains of ice, fire, and mockery surged toward Lu Kuan's right blade arm, completely extinguishing the white blade aura that was about to take shape. Wu Wenxuan's brutal primordial spirit chains helped the Demon King to bind the devil blade arm. The latter's purplish-black blade aura finally dimmed. Lu Kuan's abdomen roared furiously. It seemed that his body was completely bound, and he couldn't move at all. Seeing this, Fire Spirit Lord in the distance was slightly relieved. He said calmly, "His arms are strange. Let's use the strongest power of the divine spirit treasures to break his arms." As he said this, the 4 divine transformation realm cultivators in the distance maintained the primordial spirit chains while their clones cast spells. Many Dharma treasures with shocking auras appeared before them. The 5 spirits' temple double venerables had a pair of identical axes in front of them. One was fiery red, and the other was ice blue. The back of the palm-sized axes had 5 barbs. As soon as the 2 magic treasures appeared, the surrounding spiritual energy spontaneously surrounded them, forming a red and blue halo around them. As the 2 of them cast spells, the barbs on the back of the axes intertwined with each other, forming a double-edged axe. Powerful true essence of ice and fire surged inside, and a destructive aura appeared vaguely. Wu Wenxuan took out the devil essence saber. With a solemn expression, he shot out rays of demonic light. As for Mo Qing, he still held the dark yellow halo in his hand. He didn't attack, but activated his true essence. Circles of dark yellow halo floated out and supported everyone. Lu Kuan, who was roaring in his abdomen, was calm. He saw the divine transformation realm cultivators casting spells in the distance, and his muscles trembled again. The saber arm that was bound by the primordial spirit chains, and the demon king suddenly let out a whoosh. The saber body directly retracted into the body. Then the muscles undulated as if something was wriggling under the skin. Then the purplish-black scales on the surface of his thick legs cracked inch by inch. Just like the arm before, blades grew out. The saber of flesh and blood on Lu Kuan's arm moved to his legs in the blink of an eye. The primordial spirit, primordial qi around suddenly boiled. The two saber legs that were not bound suddenly shone with a 1-foot-long black and white light. The primordial qi saber radiance of two attributes resonated with each other. The power of the saber radiance that was stronger than the previous saber radiance soared into the sky. Not good. When the old monsters around saw this unbelievable scene, their expressions all changed. Chapter 1266. In the distance, a few old monsters were activating their divine spiritual treasures to their maximum power, while the nearby demon kings had just wrapped themselves around the demonic blade arm. Faced with this sudden change, their reactions were a beat slower. The muscles near Lu Kuan's pelvis rapidly swelled, and the pair of blade legs seemed to have no joint restrictions. With an incomparably solid black and white blade aura, they viciously chopped at his right arm that was bound by the two essence soul chains. Boom! Several terrifying auras, comparable to Yuan Qi materialization, shot up into the sky. Violent airwaves rolled out in all directions. The Zhen Yuan within the two demon kings surged, and a layer of solid light shield appeared on the surface of their bodies, blocking off the remaining power. The three nascent divinity chains trembled for a moment before shattering into 3 balls of spiritual light. The 1-foot invisible force field on Lu Kuan's body twisted endlessly, frantically condensing the dissipating primordial qi. The black and white light film on the surface of his body flickered slightly, as if it was about to materialize again. Immediately after, his pair of blade legs that flickered with black and white blade auras twisted once again, blasting at Wu Wenxuan's essence soul chains and the demon king that was binding his arm. However, the momentary delay was enough for Swanee Dragon King and the 3-headed dragon to react. They opened their mouths slightly at the same time, and 2 yellow and faint golden spiritual balls shot out from them, transforming into 2 primordial spirit chains filled with a frenzied will. The golden soft whip extended outwards, and the 3-headed WYRM threw out 2 daggers. Together with the essence soul chains, they wrapped around Lu Kuan's blade legs. Although the blade legs wrapped in primordial qi were terrifying, when faced with 2 essence soul chains and 2 demon kings' natal magic treasures, the white blade aura condensed from spiritual primordial qi trembled incessantly, showing signs of dissipating. At the same time, the 3 essence soul balls around his right arm flickered again, forming essence soul chains. The terrifying primordial qi suppression reappeared, and was even more terrifying than before. Lu Kuan's light film, which had yet to fully form, collapsed once again. Boom! The demon king's essence soul chains and weapons collided with the pair of blade legs. The white blade aura was greatly suppressed and collapsed directly. Although the remaining black demonic saber radiance was astonishingly powerful, it was completely at a disadvantage after colliding with the soft whip and dagger. The radiance of its Yuan Qi was extremely dim. Immediately after, 2 chains formed by the demon king's primordial spirit bound Lu Kuan's legs. At the same time, Dragon King's whip continued to extend like a long golden rope, wrapping around the back of his legs and around his newly freed right arm. Finally, Dragon King's other hand grasped the end of the whip. The Monster King had a serious expression on his face. His Zhen Yuan surged within his body as he gripped the whip tightly with both hands, pushing his physical strength and Zhen Yuan to the limit. On the other side, the three-headed flood dragon's body also elongated like a red python. It curled and slithered, following the soft whip and locking Lu Kuan's forelimbs. At this time, the remaining 4 Yuan Shun, along with his arms and torso, once again bound Lu Kuan's upper body. The only difference was that Wu Wenxuan's true devil chains were bound to his hands and thighs. Phew! A whistling sound could be heard. Mo Qing's mountain suppression hoop had unknowingly teleported over, bringing with it a layer of dark yellow halo. 6 Yuan Shun chains, a divine spiritual treasure, and the physical strength and magic treasures of the 2 demon kings. They cooperated with each other and bound the enemy tightly. Under this combined power, the 1-foot origin energy field on Lu Kuan's body trembled incessantly, pressing down inch by inch. It seemed that it wouldn't be long before these terrifying divine abilities could be used directly on his physical body. Seeing this, the 4 divine transformation realm cultivators in the distance didn't relax at all. Their expressions became even more cautious. They slowed down the activation of their divine, spiritual treasures and focused most of their attention on the Yuan Shun chains. Most of these old fellows had fought with demon kings before and had rich battle experience. After understanding Lu Kuan's divine abilities and the bloodline of the long-armed demon ape, they found the most reliable way to fight. That was to bind his physical body and cut off his arms. However, when they saw his legs with flesh and blood blades, they exchanged glances and decided to cut off his legs as well. The Fire Spirit Lord revealed a joyful expression. Fortunately, they had the help of the 2 demon kings. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to capture this Master Lu alive. Lu Kuan clenched his teeth, and his expression was extremely ugly. Although he had almost escaped with the help of the Snow Soul dual blades, under the close proximity of the 2 demon kings, he was quickly bound to the spot and couldn't move. At this moment, in his body, the 2 merged divine wills were communicating rapidly. The 6 Yuan Shun chains are so terrifying. Not only can they suppress the Yuan Qi, but the Yuan Qi's transformation power is also extremely shocking. Luckily, the first Yuan force is strong. Otherwise, the Yuan Qi's power would be used directly on the physical body. With the current power of Qi and blood, he wouldn't be able to resist for long. Damn it, we made the wrong judgment. Although the fusion divine ability gave birth to the first Yuan force, the origin energy field is only 1 foot. It's not even comparable to the early stage of bone transformation realm. At most, it can resist 2 divine transformation realm Yuan Shun chains. With the fusion divine ability and the Snow Soul dual blades, it can at most face 4 divine transformation realm warriors. We underestimated these old guys. I haven't reached the late stage of bone transformation realm, and the Snow Soul dual blades haven't really taken shape. I should have used the devil ape transformation to escape from the beginning. Then what are you waiting for? It's not too late to use it now. With the first Yuan force and the 3 feet origin energy field and a 5-foot tall body, together with the Snow Soul dual blades, you can definitely break free. The devil ape transformation requires internal organs. In our current state, the internal organs are concentrated in the spine. If we want to transform, we must first remove the fusion divine ability. In this way, there will be a gap in the first Yuan force. Facing the 6 Yuan Shun chains and the 2 demon kings, our physical body can only resist for a moment. Under such a huge binding power, I'm not confident that I can grow in size. Only with a 5-foot tall body and a 3-foot origin energy field can the first Yuan force be fully unleashed. If we transform in a hurry, the opponent will seize the opportunity to heavily injure our physical body. Then let's fuse the Snow Soul dual blades. You and I will lose half of our flesh and blood and activate the frenzied demonic intent. That terrifying golden blade light will definitely suppress their Yuan Shun chains and even kill one or two of them. No, losing half of our flesh and blood will greatly reduce our strength. We won't have the strength to escape. Moreover, I will lose a large amount of frenzied demonic intent and won't be able to break through in the mystic realm. Lu Kuan, right now, we need to save our lives. If we don't pay the price, how can we heavily injure them? If we don't injure these old monsters, how can we escape? Besides that golden blade light, we have no other means. Don't pay the price? Wait, we still have one more method. What? Lu Kuan and Hong Yuntian's fused divine sense seemed to communicate for a long time, but only 2 or 3 breaths of time had passed outside. Although the old guys in the distance focused most of their energy on the Yuan Shun chains, their true essence was abundant. The divine spirit treasure's light grew brighter and brighter, as if it would be activated in the next moment. But at this moment, Lu Kuan's eyes suddenly revealed a trace of ruthlessness. The source force field that had been pressed down to 3 inches on the surface of his body suddenly disappeared into thin air. Even the flesh blade on his leg retracted back into his body. The Yuan Shin chains, the golden whip, and the 3-headed flood dragon, which were using all their strength to restrain the Yuan Shun chains, directly smashed into the surface of the purplish-black scales. A terrifying power soared into the sky. The seemingly solid purplish-black scales instantly shattered under the might of several Yuan Qi transformations. From the flesh and blood below, a steady stream of silver blood essence gushed out, resisting with an incomparably vigorous blood essence. But even so, the flesh and blood melted at a speed visible to the naked eye. When the old guys in the distance saw this scene, they were all slightly taken aback. Before they could figure out what Lu Kuan meant, they saw him open his mouth, and an octagonal crystal soaked in purplish-black blood appeared. The crystal-clear crystal melted rapidly, and a formless energy gushed out. Its aura was like a soul, but also like a consciousness. It even had the pressure of willpower. As soon as this energy appeared, the 6 Yuan Shun chains in the surroundings suddenly trembled. They split into 6 balls of spiritual light and madly rushed towards this formless energy, as if they had encountered some kind of enemy. It was as if they would not rest until one of them was dead. Everyone's expression changed. At this moment, they had all lost control of the Yuan Shun chains. When the Flame Sage saw this scene, he suddenly remembered a certain rumor recorded in the sect. His face suddenly became incomparably pale. He roared, "How does this lunatic know the ability of the metal elite zombie?" Everyone, quickly mobilize the Yuan Shun in your body to protect your internal organs and sea of consciousness. As soon as he finished speaking, the 6 balls of light from his primordial spirit collided with the translucent energy. At this moment, everyone had the illusion that time had frozen. It seemed as if an instant had passed, but also as if a long time had passed. Soon after, they felt a terrifying formless shock wave gushing out from Lu Kuan's mangled body. It turned into circles of ripples and rushed in all directions. When the ripples swept past, the 3-headed dragon coiled around Lu Kuan's body. A series of explosions sounded from its body. Its widened eyes seemed to have exploded into blood, and its body directly went limp. As for the Bayan Dragon King, who was holding the golden whip, when he felt that the Yuan Shun he split out was completely obliterated, his reaction was a beat slower. He only had time to use his Yuan Shun to protect half of his internal organs. Then, he felt a terrifying mental shock wave approach his body. It seemed to ignore the defense of his physical body and inner Yuan and directly affected his internal organs. Puff! The Bayan Dragon King's eyes suddenly became bloodshot. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying backwards. The 4 old monsters of the human race, 500 feet away, were much better off. Although the Yuan Shun they split out was also obliterated, they were able to protect their internal organs and sea of consciousness with their Yuan Shun in time before the shock wave hit them. But even so, when the shock wave hit them, they saw stars before their eyes. It was as if their brains had been ruthlessly hammered by someone. The yuan shan in their body was incessantly shaken. In their slightly blurred vision, they could only watch as the humanoid monster in the distance turned into a burly man and fled into the distance amidst the ear-piercing sound of breaking air. Chapter 1267. The shockwaves that rippled with invisible ripples even shook out a lot of yuan qi of heaven and earth. With a black and white halo, they spread out for thousands of feet before slowly dissipating in the air. In the center of the spiritual shockwave, the originally limp body of the python suddenly expanded and turned into a 5-clawed flood dragon with fiery red scales that was more than 30 meters long. Its empty eyes flashed with 2 yellow balls of light that were larger than lanterns. They were filled with a strong sense of madness. Vigorous true essence rolled in its body as an incomparably angry voice came out of the dragon's mouth. "Damned fellow, you actually destroyed this old lady's clone." Although the 3-headed dragon's roar shook the sky, its huge body looked weak. Its dragon head and 5 dragon legs were drooping. It was like a powerless body with only vital essence. Not far behind it, the Swanee Dragon King's body had also turned into its original form. This was a dragon-like creature that was 50 to 60 feet long. It had the head of a dragon and the body of a tiger. Under the skin that was covered in light golden fur, it was filled with solid muscles. Behind it, there was a tail that was flashing with a golden light like a soft whip. The Swanee Dragon King looked at the burly man who was gradually disappearing in the distance. Its eyes flashed with fear. At this moment, its internal organs were dim. Although it still had some vitality, its blood flow and flesh and nerves were all stagnant. This special injury made it unable to use its shape-shifting ability. It had to revert to its original form. Lu Kuan's presence is gone. Its tiger eyes suddenly squinted. In its vision, the burly man who had flown thousands of feet away flashed and disappeared into thin air. Even with its soul formation level divine sense, it could not detect it. It could not help but turn to look at the human soul formation cultivators in the distance. The 5 spirits, Temple 2 Lords, and Mo Qing and Wu Wenxuan had already regained control of their vital essence. They looked in the direction where Lu Kuan had gone with a gloomy expression. The Fire Spirit Lord moved his fingers and used a mysterious spell. Then, shock appeared on his face. It was as if he could not believe it. He moved his fingers several times and said with a gloomy face, "Our willpower, divine sense marks, and the auras of the 5 spirits' disc have all disappeared." Ice Spirit Venerable put down his hands, which were also casting spells, and said with a shocked expression, "This guy has the means to hide the 5 spirit plates. Why didn't he show it before? Was he deliberately baiting us?" Flame Spirit Sage thought for a while and shook his head. "Impossible. Lu Kuan obviously used all his strength just now. If he wanted to deal with us, why would he be in a hurry to escape? That was the best time to attack. The only possibility is that he doesn't know if this concealment method is feasible. The 2 5 spirit plates that we didn't find were used by him as a test." The Blue Cloud Sex Mo Qing didn't mock at this time. Instead, he said with a serious tone, "Fellow Taoist Wuling, what kind of spell did Lu Kuan use just now?" It was able to ignore the true essence defense and directly attack his internal organs and brain. "If it weren't for your reminder, our bodies would have been destroyed." Thinking of the scene just now, everyone showed a look of fear. The chains of their primordial spirits were destroyed. Under the influence, their reactions were a lot slower, and they couldn't dodge the shockwave in time. If it weren't for Flame Spirit Sage's reminder, they would only use their true essence to protect their bodies. They wouldn't have thought of using their primordial spirits to protect their internal organs. "Fellow Taoist, are you talking about the Golden Elite Zombie's spell? Is it the top zombie that appeared briefly?" Flame Spirit Sage was silent for a while and said, "Fellow Taoist, we should know that the seniors of our 2 sects besieged the Golden Elite Zombie and died together in the end." Hearing this, Wu Wenxuan raised his eyebrows and said, Not long after the senior of our sect dealt with the golden elite zombie, the divine soul tablet in our sect shattered. Was it because of the special shock wave just now? Did the divine transformation realm seniors of your 5 spirits sect survive that battle? Flame Spirit Sage sighed and said, "Only the nascent soul of a senior of our sect managed to escape. Not long after, he was seriously injured and died." He organized his words and said, "The golden elite zombie of the middle underworld mountain had a strange spell. He didn't have the power of will, but he could control demonic spiritual yuan qi at the same time. Moreover, his physical defense was very strong. However, his control over yuan qi was much weaker than us pseudo-divine transformation realm cultivators. The 3 seniors paid a price and completely captured him alive. They also used the primordial spirit chains." Hearing this, Bion Dragon King couldn't help but frown and said, "Then the golden elite zombie spat out Lu Kuan's crystal?" Flame Spirit Sage nodded first, then shook his head and said, "It's a little different. According to the seniors of our sect, when they tried to search his soul, they found that there was a crystal in the sea of consciousness of the golden elite zombie. The golden elite zombie self-destructed this crystal that seemed to be purely condensed from consciousness. The surging special mental strength seemed to be the mortal enemy of the primordial spirit will. It caused the 3 seniors to lose control of their primordial spirit chains. Just like what happened just now, the strange mental shock wave directly shook the seniors' internal organs and brains into a pool of blood. Their physical bodies were completely destroyed. After the golden elite zombie lost the crystal, a bloodthirsty intent appeared in his body. He regained control of his physical body and took advantage of the gap to swallow the 3 seniors' nascent souls. In order to prevent the golden elite zombie from continuing to break through, the seniors directly self-destructed in his body. Both sides perished together. The senior of our sect barely survived by using his nascent soul splitting technique. Unfortunately, he was too severely injured and died not long after returning to the sect. After hearing this, everyone fell silent. The 3-headed dragon suddenly said, "After Lu Kuan used it, why was he still able to escape? He could even use some method to hide his body. It was as if there was no effect at all." Before Flame Spirit Sage could say anything, Wu Wenxuan suddenly thought of something and said, "I know. That crystal is the sacred relic of the Netherworm clan. It's not Lu Kuan's own consciousness crystal. The sacred relic of the Netherworm clan?" Hearing this, the others were a little stunned. Wu Wenxuan said, "Hundreds of years ago, I went to the middle underworld mountain and fought with the Zombie King. He had a kind of fusion technique that could unleash the strength of the golden elite zombie. This crystal was embedded in his forehead. Later, I looked up some information and found that this is the sacred relic of the ancient Netherworm clan. It's equivalent to the effect of the true demon pool to the demon race. It's the key to the advancement of the Netherworm clan to the divine transformation realm. However, immortal cultivators can't use this thing. Instead, the Yuan sect seems to be able to use the sacred relic to purify the water of the true demon." Thinking of the previous scene, everyone somewhat understood. It seems that the sacred relic of the Netherworm clan might be some kind of crystallization of consciousness, just like the crystallization of the golden elite zombie soul. Lu Kuan seems to have used his powerful blood to stimulate the mental energy inside, which clashed with our nascent soul will and produced that terrifying mental shockwave. This freak's internal organs were not damaged after withstanding the self-destruction of a mid-stage nascent soul realm cultivator. Obviously, his defensive power is amazing to be able to resist this kind of mental shock. However, the state he was in just now was the best time to counterattack, but he turned and ran. Obviously, he couldn't continue the battle. Just as we guessed before, this guy hasn't reached the divine transformation realm. It's just a short burst of power. I felt the aura of the demonic dragon blade on the demonic blade of blood and flesh. It seems that he has refined it into 2 treasures. It doesn't have the original terrifying power. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to restrain him so easily. Lu Kuan's form is strange this time. He didn't transform into the Tongbi demon ape. Is it because he used too much of his energy? Every time he uses his divine ability, his energy and blood are surging. Very likely. What should we do now? This guy has the ability to hide. If he's in the dark and attacks us, we'll be in trouble. The divine transformation realm cultivators discussed and analyzed Lu Kuan's state quickly. Then, they began to worry about his revenge. Fire Spirit Lord said in a low voice, although he hid the 5 spirit plate, I can sense it as soon as he uses it. I can break it with a little spell. If Lu Kuan still has the demonic dragon blade, he might be able to break the restriction formation of the battlefield by force. Unfortunately, the 2 divine spiritual treasures he has don't have such powerful attack power. If this guy can't enter the ancient battlefield, he won't be able to disturb us. If we're right, Lu Kuan should still be at the later stage of the nascent soul realm. If he enters the divine transformation realm, we'll be in trouble. Then he said in a cold tone, once the secret realm is over, we'll announce that Lu Kuan is the soul of the demon king lurking in the realm of cultivators, and that the body refining pavilion is a spy of the demons. We'll make him the public enemy of the realm of cultivators. If he knows what's good for him, he'll hand over the cultivation method. If not, we'll kill him directly to prevent future trouble. The cultivation method that can activate the demonic spiritual essence Qi and the orthodox divine transformation realm primordial spirit power at the same time must be made public, just like the Buddhist sect. The others, including the 2 monster kings, all agreed with this plan. The hatred between the 2 sides is irreconcilable. Let's cut the Gordian knot. Okay, let's do that. Next, we'll heal together. It's better if we study some secret techniques for physical detection. After discussing some details, the divine transformation realm cultivators left. Chapter 1268. After another half a day, on the surface of the water, a few hundred feet away from the battlefield, a burly naked figure suddenly appeared. It was Lu Kuan. His eyes flashed with golden light as he stared at the direction where the semi-god realm warriors went. After a while, the Xiaoling soft armor appeared on his body and gradually twisted into a black suit. Hong Yuntian's furious voice came from inside his body. Those damn bastards. It seems that they want to attack the body refining pavilion together after the Broken Kingdom is over. Lu Kuan, we have to find a way to kill a few of them. Otherwise, when the major sects of the Great Zhou dynasty attack together, even if we are fine, the disciples of the body refining pavilion will be in trouble, especially Li Qianfeng and the others. They will definitely be used as research subjects. Lu Kuan squinted his eyes and said calmly, if we really kill 1 or 2 semi-god realm warriors, they will be able to accuse us of being spies of the demons. After all, for so many years, human semi-god realm warriors have never killed each other. We have to think about how to deal with this. Hearing this, Hong Yuntian seemed to be even angrier. But even if you don't do anything, those bastards will use this as an excuse to attack the southwest realm of cultivators. Since a war between sects is unavoidable, why don't we strike first? Are you going to give up your cultivation method? That will make the body refining pavilion look weak and easy to bully. The enemy will take advantage of you and make them pay with their blood. Lu Kuan snorted and said, I, Lu Kuan, am the leader of a sect and the founder of the body refining system. How can I surrender to them? But the most important thing now is to break through to the later stage of the bone transformation realm and complete the Snow Soul dual blades. If we use up all the Dark Soul crystals and lose the ability to combine, we will be in danger. In the realm of cultivators, strength is everything. Brother Hong, you must understand this simple logic. Hong Yuntian was silent for a while and seemed to have calmed down. He said, okay, let's go find the blood essence of the giant long-armed ape first. But you have to remember that one of the reasons I joined the body refining pavilion was to protect the body refining system. Lu Kuan took a deep breath, his eyes flashing with determination. Of course I remember. After saying this, he shot towards the northeast, his figure gradually disappearing into the air. On the west bank of the Yuan River, Su Junwen was flying in the air. She held a jade slip in her hand, and her slightly pale face was filled with surprise. As I expected, the three pure ones one chi transforming into three pure ones is the secret technique that separates the original power of the nascent soul. With it and the yin-yang mother-child art, I can divide the source of the nascent soul into three parts and plant them in the golden cores of my disciples. The latter will have a great chance of reaching the nascent soul stage. Although the extreme yang nascent soul has self-destructed, its origin is still in the body. A nascent soul planted in this way is equivalent to my nascent soul avatar. As long as I cast the spell, I can easily devour it. My yin and yang body has the innate ability to purify the two types of yin and yang nascent souls. If I divide one nascent soul into three and combine the three nascent souls into one, I will have a great chance of reaching the soul formation stage, let alone the grand cultivators. Su Junwen's big eyes flashed with a bright light. She had witnessed the failure of the previous yin-yang sacred master to reach the soul formation stage. She knew the two biggest difficulties. Firstly, the yin and yang nascent souls had to be extremely pure. Secondly, it was difficult to combine the two souls. However, she was different from the previous sacred masters. The yin-yang mother-child art was a cultivation method for two nascent souls. The nascent souls had the same soul, which directly eliminated the most difficult part. As for the cultivation of the nascent soul, she could make use of the three pure ones one chi transforming into one pure ones to plant the source of yin and yang. Finally, the three pure ones would combine and purify it with her talent. When 6 yin and yang nascent souls were combined, the nascent soul power would reach the peak. With the help of the yin-yang sacred sex secret technique, there was a great chance that she could reach the soul formation stage. After a while, the joy on her face gradually disappeared. She turned around and looked behind her. Her expression was filled with fear. Master Lu dared to use his physical body to contain the nascent souls, so he definitely isn't afraid of self-destruction. I can't fully trust the words of a soul formation stage old monster. I'll separate my nascent soul source for the next few years. I won't be able to return to the sect for the time being. Then, a jade scroll appeared in her hand. She carefully examined the map inside. In the Broken Nation, the Primordial battlefield and the Northeast region have the most spatial rifts. The Northeast region is still an icy plain. There isn't anything valuable there. Master Lu probably won't go there. Su Junwen thought to herself and changed the direction of her flying light. In a region slightly west of the central region of the Broken Nation, there was a large number of spatial rifts. These rifts were different from the ones in other places. Apart from the blue light, there were also black and white clouds that constantly spat out. However, the spatial rifts in the periphery of this region only had white clouds surging out. They fused together in a special way. With the blue spatial rifts as the framework, they formed a thick white fog. This was the primordial battlefield of the Broken Nation. And in the depths of the primordial battlefield, there was a valley shrouded in silver fog. This fog flickered with a blue light, and the rich power of space roiled within. Suddenly, within the fog of this valley, purplish-black lightning appeared. They became more and more concentrated, gradually turning into spots the size of buckets. There were at least several hundred of them. Within each spot, there was a face that gradually became clear. Their faces were densely covered with different patterns of black scales, as if they were some kind of special totem. Besides these scales, their heads were 50 to 60% similar to humans. Some had long and narrow faces, while others had round faces. However, their hair and pupils were all purplish-black. As time passed, these several hundred faces became clearer and clearer. One could even see the excited expressions on their faces. But just as these spots were about to emerge from these heads, the surrounding silver fog suddenly began to roil. The blue light within wildly flashed, coiling around each other, forming a tornado-like whirlwind. The power of space was even more turbulent. The purplish-black spots that were affected by the whirlwind directly shattered. The heads within also twisted and disappeared. However, there were not many spatial storms. So many spots remained intact. Within the remaining spots, the scale-covered heads let out soundless roars and struggled with all their might. Sturdy bodies gradually crawled out. But at this time, some kind of restriction seemed to have been triggered. In addition to the spatial storms and the silver fog, large amounts of silver lightning also surged out. The bodies that were struck by these lightning bolts let out miserable cries, while others continued to struggle outwards with fierce expressions. But no matter what they did, they were all powerless to resist and retreated. Even the spots on their bodies disappeared. Even so, there were still 9 figures that rushed out. They had human-like faces and wore some kind of metallic armor. The scale patterns on their faces were different, and their bodies were filled with a deep demonic aura. 6 of them had sturdy bodies and large bodies. The other 3 had smaller faces and gentle appearances. Their bodies were slightly slender, and their chests were straight. Apart from the scales on their bodies and their strange faces, they looked like human females. If there were immortal cultivators here, they would find that these creatures were exactly as described in the legends of the demon race. These demons looked at the silver fog below and revealed expressions of having survived a disaster. Then, they spontaneously surrounded the strongest male demon with light purple scales on his body. This demon's tone was somewhat excited. Very good. This time, not only did 9 of us come in, but 3 of us are peak level 7 demonic soldiers. The next time the power of space weakens will be in half a year. At that time, other than Lord Demon King, a few Lord Demon Generals will come. Before that, the other 2 and I will seize the time and try to break through to level 8. The rest of you, find out the situation around here, especially the demonic beasts left behind by the previous seniors. See how much they have grown and quickly subdue them. Yes. Following these words, the 6 figures shot off in all directions, while the 3 devilish beings with the densest auras remained near the silver mist, choosing a few places with dense devilish chi before beginning to cultivate. Chapter 1269. In the northeast region of the Broken Country, there was a vast ice field. The sky was filled with blue spatial cracks, and many of them were even floating on the ice. Occasionally, some strange monsters would appear, but they didn't dare to run quickly on the ice field, for fear of being cut in half. The further north one went, the more concentrated the spatial cracks became. At the edge, they even formed a spiderweb-like sky, separating the Broken Country from the extreme north of the cultivation world. At the northeast border of the Broken Country, there was a huge mountain range stuck in the thick spatial cracks. It stretched for hundreds of miles. All the steep and rugged mountain peaks were covered in pure white snow. The translucent ice reflected the deep blue light of the spatial rifts, making them look like giant pieces of crystals standing there for a long time. At the bottom of these ice-blue crystal mountain peaks, there was a dark purple fog shrouding the bottom of the mountain, making it impossible to see the scenery at the bottom of the mountain. On this day, at the edge of a cliff on a certain crystal mountain, a blue light suddenly lit up. Inside the thick ice, there were rays of spiritual light flowing. They were like nimble snakes that kept twisting and turning, gradually forming a complicated array pattern. Not long after, the spiritual light on the array became more and more dazzling, and even the nearby heaven-earth Yuan Qi appeared, forming a hazy blue halo on the ice. With a loud bang, the power of space surged out, and the thick layer of ice on the array burst open, directly vaporizing into mist, sweeping out in all directions. In the mountain range where the cold wind whistled, a rumbling sound echoed. In the mist, the figures of a man and 2 women gradually appeared. The man looked to be in his 20s, wearing a white brocade robe and a silk headband. He had a dignified appearance, and in his left hand was a blue jade talisman, and in his right hand was a folding fan. His body swayed slightly, and then he opened his eyes, looking at the surrounding scene. The folding fan in his hand opened with a swish, and he gently fanned himself, like a young master of a wealthy family. However, as the folding fan danced, it drew in the surrounding spiritual energy, and the fan released a blue light, forming a protective spiritual light around the three people, covering them with a faint halo. The two women behind him were both wearing long blue dresses. Their appearances were delicate and pretty, and they looked almost exactly the same. They were twin sisters, but one of them had a full chest, and the other was tall and slender. At this moment, their eyes were tightly closed, and they were holding blue jade talismans in their hands. They seemed to be still dizzy from the teleportation. After about 10 breaths, the two of them opened their big eyes at the same time. They felt the cold wind and pure spiritual energy around them, and their spirits shook. The voluptuous woman looked around and said excitedly, "Sect Master, is this the North Pole Mountain? Have we entered the Shattered Kingdom?" The man lamented, "That's right. This is our sect's holy land, the North Pole Mountain. This is my first time here, too." The slender woman looked at the cracks in space a few hundred feet away from the mountain peak with a slightly frightened expression. She whispered, "Sect Master, I heard that every time the Broken Country opens, the most powerful cultivators of the great Zhou dynasty would enter. There are even many semi-god realm seniors. Will we be in danger?" The man said with a gentle voice, "The cracks in space outside the North Pole Mountain are at least a few thousand feet long. To pass through the cracks, one needs to use strong magic power to resist the power of space. With my peak cultivation, I can only move a quarter of a distance. The semi-god realm seniors of the great Zhou dynasty are all busy dealing with the demon race. Even if the North Pole Mountain contains a lot of ice attribute treasures, it is not worth it for them to waste their true yuan to enter." Hearing this, the voluptuous woman's big eyes flashed with a bright light. She said loudly, "Sect Master, then what are we waiting for? Let's hurry and go find the treasures." Hearing this, the man said with a serious tone, I'll let you lawn sisters and not to find treasures, but to open the inner space of the North Pole Mountain to find the seniors of our sect." Hearing the man's tone, the voluptuous woman couldn't help but feel a little dejected. The man looked into the distance. After a while, his gaze locked onto the highest mountain peak in the distance. His eyes flashed with hope, and he said, "It has been 600 years since the last time it opened. According to our sect's records, the inner space of the North Pole Mountain is incomparably vast and full of vitality. Grandmaster is the most talented person among all the elders of our sect. She might have already broken through to the semi-god realm." The voluptuous woman curled her lips and said, "Sect Master, you reached the peak of the great cultivator realm in a little over 600 years old. In terms of cultivation speed, you are the genius." The slender woman at the side blinked and said softly, "That's right." The man waved the folding fan in his hand and shook his head. "You guys don't know. Grandmaster cultivates the self-created Ice Heart technique. It is a cultivation method that can allow one to comprehend the power of will. Just based on this, I, Lu Jinyuan, am far inferior. Self-created cultivation method, comprehend the power of will." The twins were shocked. As elders of a semi-god realm sect, they naturally understood the meaning behind it. "Let's not talk anymore. Let's get ready to go." Then, the man named Lu Jinyuan took out a jade slip. He looked at the map inside while observing the surroundings. Inside the cliff, there was a steep mountain path that clung to the rock wall of the mountain. It was covered with ice, and outside it was the abyss of the cliff. At the bottom of the abyss, there was rolling purplish black fog. It was like a horrifying monster that was waiting for its prey to walk into its trap. Lu Jinyuan's feet were a few feet above the ground. He floated toward the mountain wall and said with a serious expression, "Follow me closely. Don't fly too high. Although the space crack is hundreds of feet away, there will occasionally be a small space storm with an amazing suction force. The abyss below is also densely packed with space cracks. There is also a strong demonic chi. If you are sucked in, no one can save you unless they are at the semi-god realm. The twins were only at the early nascent soul realm. After hearing this, they nodded like chicks pecking at rice. They followed behind carefully. In the Northern Yuan sect, they specialized in the Tao of formation, especially the teleportation formation. They knew that this kind of chaotic space was the most dangerous. The three of them flew close to the ground and circled to the other side of the mountain. There was a passage without any space cracks. It was like a man-made passage that allowed cultivators to fly. The buxom woman could not help but ask, "Master, was this created by the ancestors of our sect?" Hearing this, Lu Jinyuan shook his head slowly and said, "The restriction of the North Pole Mountain and even the distribution of the space cracks were all set up by the ancient Yuan sect." Yuan sect? It is rumored that the founder of our sect was a disciple of Yuan sect. Is it true? Lu Jinyuan said, "Yes, the founder of our sect was not only an official disciple of Yuan sect, but also a semi-god realm elder. Master said that Yuan school has completed the feat of ascending to the heavens. Is that true? Are the cultivation methods that we practice the top secret techniques of Yuan sect? It doesn't seem to be as powerful as the legends say." "Sister, our cultivation methods are super powerful. Otherwise, how could we have been ruling the northernmost land? Moreover, those sects of great Zhou dare not come to seize our territory." Listening to the twins chatter behind him, Lu Jinyuan looked down at the mountain range below him and sighed. The reason why that senior founded the Northern Yuan sect was to guard this mountain range and maintain the stability of the space crack. Guard the North Pole Mountain? The space cracks need to be maintained? You will know when we reach the destination. Looking at the doubtful faces of the twins, Lu Jinyuan did not say much. He accelerated slightly. The two women suppressed their curiosity and followed closely behind. Next, the three of them shuttled through the North Pole Mountain. As they went deeper, although it was getting colder, the spiritual energy became pure. They all practiced ice attribute cultivation methods, so they felt very comfortable. On the way, they encountered some special demonic beasts, but they were all in the core formation realm. They easily dealt with them. In addition to some special ice attribute materials, the twins also obtained a pair of snow leopard cubs. They were very happy. After half a day, the three of them arrived at the highest peak of the North Pole Mountain. It was a square with a diameter of 100 feet. It seemed to be man-made with a flat roof. There was also a small pavilion covered in ice and snow. Lu Jinyuan and the others did not pay attention to this. They all raised their heads and looked at the sky. There was a huge space crack hanging there. It was at least 20 feet long and 30 feet wide. In the deep blue space, they could faintly see bits of starlight. It was like the night sky, emitting a charming light. The two women felt the unfathomable power of space inside, as well as the pure spiritual energy that flowed out from time to time. They could not help but widen their eyes and say in unison, "Reverse spirit channel?" Lu Jinyuan's eyes flashed with a strange light. He nodded slightly and said, "Yes." Although there are other places in the Broken Country with reverse spirit channels, the one in the North Pole Mountain is the most stable and safe. Even so, without a cultivation above the middle stage of demigod realm, only death awaits. Not long after the demigod realm senior of our sect went in, his soul lamp went out. In the cultivation world, where there are only demigod realm cultivators, no one can use this channel to enter the upper realm. The twin sisters immediately understood. So, our Northern Yuan sect is guarding this channel. Since no one can enter, will the seniors from the upper realm use this channel to come down? Lu Jinyuan shook his head and said, "Probably not. Otherwise, the founder of the sect would definitely arrange for the elders to be stationed here. Why would he be so careless? Obviously, this is a chance for the lower realm to ascend." Speaking of this, he suddenly had a thought. Wait, the Yuan sect was the strongest sect in the ancient times with countless powerful figures. Obviously, they knew that only demigod realm cultivators could be born in the cultivation world, but they still arranged for their disciples to guard it. It seems it was left specially for someone. Could it be that the inner space of the North Pole Mountain is also like this? Lu Jinyuan could not help but lower his head and look at the center of the square platform. There was a crystal-clear, circular ice surface, flashing a faint silver light under it. It seemed to be a layer of obscure restriction. The twin sisters followed his gaze and looked over. The plump woman asked, "Is it the magic array of the inner space?" The restriction that Master has been studying for the rest of his life? Lu Jinyuan nodded first, then sighed and said, "Thousands of years ago, under an accidental situation, the restriction of the entrance appeared. After the exploration of the sect seniors, it was found to be a secret space left behind by the Yuan sect. It was not until 600 years ago that Grandmaster successfully entered it. However, she did not expect that the spatial fluctuations of the ancient battlefield would affect this place, causing the restriction to suddenly close and trapped inside. It was your master who opened it 600 years ago. This time, it's up to you. Leave it to us. Don't worry, Sect Master." The twin sisters nodded seriously and walked forward, beginning to explore the restriction of the entrance. Chapter 1270. On the top of the North Pole Mountain, a series of complicated runes appeared on the silver ice in the middle, forming a circular array. The twin girls sat cross-legged on both sides of the array. Their slender hands shot out rays of mysterious spiritual light, and the runes lit up in white light. Lu Jinyuan stood aside with a solemn expression. An array disc that seemed to be made of crystal was suspended above the array. The powerful spiritual power of the peak of the late-stage nascent soul stage surged in his body and was injected into it. With the activation of the array disc, rays of blue spiritual light gradually surged out from the huge space crack in the sky. It was filled with an aura that could tear everything apart. It was unknown what kind of magic treasure this crystal array disc was, but it was able to activate the power of space. After entering the array disc, it seemed to have been filtered and turned into blue rain, sprinkling on the array disc below. The array disc that the twins were controlling was slowly submerged into the silver ice after receiving the help of the power of space. After a while, along with a shocking spatial fluctuation, the silver ice began to melt and turned into a colorful mist, dispersing in all directions. "It's open." Lu Jinyuan was overjoyed and quickly withdrew his spiritual power. The crystal array disc that was suspended in midair returned to his side, and the blue power of space no longer fell. Then he looked at the colorful mist that was gradually dispersing. He was stunned for a moment, then became excited. "Grandmaster, you really made a breakthrough in the North Pole Mountain." Ah, the twin girls next to him had just calmed down their spiritual power. When they heard this, they could not help but exclaim and looked forward. They saw the figure of a young girl in the colorful mist. She was wearing a pale white dress and had long silver hair. There was a sense of coldness in her beautiful face, as if she was an otherworldly fairy. Lu Jinyuan looked at her appearance, aura, and the unique pressure of her true essence. He bowed respectfully and said, "Jinyuan greets Grandmaster Beihan. Congratulations on your success in the divine art." "Congratulations on your success in the divine art." The twin girls also bowed hurriedly. They were extremely excited. They did not expect their sect leader to be right. This senior had really entered the soul formation stage. Their Northern Yuan sect had a soul formation stage, Cultivator. Fairy Beihan looked over and raised her silver eyebrows. She said, "Aren't you Ping Er's useless son?" Her eyes were filled with surprise as she said, "Back then, you were trapped by love and even failed to build your foundation twice. I didn't expect that after not seeing you for 600 years, you would actually reach the peak of the late stage of the nascent soul realm. How did you do it?" Lu Jinyuan was silent for a moment before he said slowly, "I transformed into a mortal and entered the world to cultivate. My fortuitous encounter wasn't bad, and I gained some insights into the world. Thereafter, my cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. Fairy Behan sensed it carefully and was even more surprised. You're cultivating the morality technique? Yes, Grandmaster. The Behan fairy sighed. I understand now. Your personality is a perfect match for the morality technique. Plus, you have been cultivating in the mortal world. That's why you've improved so much. She then looked at the twin sisters and asked, Are you Junior Brother Wang's grand disciples? The twins nodded repeatedly. Let me ask you a few questions. Fairy Behan's eyes lit up. Grandmaster, please ask. The twin sisters said at the same time. One of them had a loud voice, while the other had a soft voice. The Soul Formation Cultivator asked a few questions about dimension arrays and array formations. The twins answered all of them fluently, and even offered some unique ideas. A glint of joy flashed in the Behan fairy's eyes. She said, Very good. You're very talented in array formations at such a young age. Come with me. There is an array formation inside the North Pole Mountain that needs your help to crack. Hearing this, Lu Jinyuan said seriously, Grandmaster, our mission is to guard and stabilize the reverse spirit channel. The seniors of the Yuan sect have set such a rule, which means that everything in the North Pole Mountain is reserved for others. As the guardians, we can't steal it. The Behan fairy said coldly, What? Are you going to stop me? Lu Jinyuan smiled and said, Grandmaster, you're a soul formation cultivator. Even if I want to stop you, I'm no match for you. But as the sect master of the Bei Yuan sect, I have to speak my mind. As for what to do, it's up to you. The Behan fairy couldn't help but reevaluate this handsome young man. Seeing that he was honest, she said slowly, Come with me and you'll know. Then, she didn't say anything else and flew down. The twins looked at Lu Jinyuan and saw him nodding slightly. Then, they channeled their Dharma power and followed behind. Below the colorful mist was a vast world. They were on a cloud high in the sky, surrounded by tiny dimension cracks. Pure spirit chi flowed out from the cracks from time to time, just like outside the North Pole Mountain. Looking down, there were many floating islands in the clouds. Spirit chi flashed on the islands, which seemed to be planted with many herbs. At the bottom of the space, there was a purple-black sea of demon chi. Even thousands of feet away, everyone could feel the pure demon chi. The Behan fairy said while flying down, I've explored this place countless times in the past 600 years. Every floating island is planted with herbs. They grow with the help of the pure spirit chi flowing out from the dimension cracks. Although these herbs are tens of thousands of years old, they can only replenish blood essence. Lu Jinyuan's spirit sense probed several islands. His brows raised and he said, So, disciple's guess is right. This island was left behind by Yuan school for someone. This person's cultivation method requires a lot of blood essence. Is it some kind of special devil skill? The Behan fairy nodded and said, Yes, it was left for someone who cultivated a special demon art. Lu Jinyuan was startled. Then, he looked into the distance, and the twins seemed to have found something. Dozens of miles away, there was a mountain protruding from the purple-black sea of demon chi. There was a faint silver light flashing on the mountain. The spirit chi in the surrounding area gathered there, forming a black and white vortex. Soon, they arrived at the mountain and landed on a platform on the mountainside. In front of them was the gate of a cave mansion. It was wrapped in a silver light and emitted a terrifying energy. On the other side of the platform, there was a stone tomb. The surrounding rocks were carved with messy, ancient words. Lu Jinyuan couldn't help looking over. The Grand Elder was right. Only by letting the demon chi in can this place become a backup realm for the human race. The junior called Spiritual King Buddha is really a genius. I can't believe he created such a miraculous Buddhist art. He used the demon chi in the broken dimension to enter the early soul formation realm. With the help of the other old guys, they should be able to pass through the reverse spirit channel. Humph, it was worth it for me to stay here. There are demon kings hiding in Yuan country. The Grand Elder's ascension strengthened the power of the realm. My mid-soul formation realm cultivation is not affected, but those demon kings are suppressed to the early soul formation realm. I should kill them all. Just in case, let's search for another 100 years. After Yuan country was destroyed, the essence chi of heaven and earth became murky. The traditional cultivation art can only produce a pseudo-soul formation realm cultivator. Now, I can only place my hope on Hong Yuntian. The Grand Elder really put in a lot of effort to leave this treasure here. It is very helpful for the comprehension of the willpower. He left it all to Hong Yuntian. If I had this, I wouldn't need to spend more than 200 years to comprehend the willpower. It makes sense. Hong Yuntian is completely immune to the true demon while under the cleansing of the demon cultivation art. Just this point alone is enough to suppress the demon kings. The demon clan's reaction is just as the Grand Elder expected. They took advantage of the 500 years of the Space Seal to send the demon kings in. Unfortunately, due to the power of the realm, only those in the early soul formation realm can pass through. One demon king in the early soul formation realm. I don't need to do anything. 5 pseudo-soul formation realm cultivators can kill him. Han Jing is a good girl. She created a new demon technique. I wonder if she can create the frenzy demon will. Without the demon will of the human race, even if she enters the upper realm, she will be suppressed by the demons of the same level. She might even be controlled. Hong Yuntian, don't disappoint the Grand Elder. Every 500 years, a demon king and other demon spawns are all prepared for you. Unfortunately, I only have less than 100 years of life left. My cultivation has been affected by the demon chi and has regressed to the early soul formation realm. I don't have the confidence to pass through the reverse spirit channel. Well, I will rest here forever. Hong Yuntian, if you come, remember to tell me before the grave. Beiyuan sect, Li Beiyuan. After reading it, Lu Jinyuan was shocked. This is the founder of our sect. He was in the middle soul formation realm, but he didn't go to the upper realm. Instead, he stayed in the broken kingdom. The twin sisters at the side also covered their mouths, their eyes flashing. They could clearly see that the founder had stayed here to purge the demon race, as well as to secretly protect the Shattered Nation from the first Demon King invasion. Fairy Bayon sighed. My Isar technique has many flaws. I relied on the cold will left here by the founder to successfully break through to the soul formation realm. If it wasn't for him, this consort would have died long ago. Lu Jinyuan looked at the words on the ground and couldn't help but ask, Founder, everything in the North Pole Mountain was prepared for Senior Hong Yuntian. Fairy Bane's expression was a bit complicated. She nodded slowly and said, Yes, but 70,000 years have passed, and everything here is the same. Senior Hong Yuntian must have met with an accident. From the clues, we can see that the senior cultivated a technique that was immune to the true demon will. Such a technique shouldn't be covered in dust here. Founder Li Beiyuan didn't leave a way to open the cave, so we can only break it by force. Lu Jinyuan took a deep breath and said, Understood. Founder, what do you want to do? Just tell us. Fairy Bayon nodded. The restriction here is similar to the one outside. It's best to break it with the power of space. I failed several times before because of the interference of the demon chi. Now, I only need to focus on suppressing the demon chi around. You can use the power of space to break the restriction. Specifically, then Lu Jinyuan and the twins listened attentively. Chapter 1271. At the northeast edge of the broken country, 2 small figures were shuttling back and forth in the space crack that enveloped the North Pole Mountain. Lu Kuan had shrunk his body by half with the help of the silver dragon cloud iron. As for Hong Yuntian, his body could turn into liquid, so shrinking was not a problem. However, there was an additional layer of purple-black scales on his skin. Due to the shrinking of their bodies, the space crack around them seemed quite spacious. The blue space power fell on Lu Kuan's skin and barely scratched a slight blood mark, but was unable to break through the next layer of muscle. The demon zombie scales on Hong Yuntian's body were even harder and easily resisted the cutting power. For a body cultivator, as long as the defense was not broken, it would not consume too much blood and chi. They flew one after the other in the space crack. Their expressions were quite relaxed, and they were even chatting. Lu Kuan asked, So, The North Pole Mountain is where Yuan School stores body, refining resources? Hong Yintian said, yes, in my impression, in addition to the herbs that are beneficial to blood essence, there's also a lot of blood essence from top demon clans. They were refined by the Yuan School's elders using alchemy techniques, combined with the tyrannical true fire of magic power. According to my judgment, the essence of the bloodline has not been damaged. Disciples who cultivate demon spirit arts may be able to use these blood essences. Lu Kuan recalled the scene of the young ape being refined alive in the alchemy furnace. He sighed, but then he seemed to think of something and asked, in a later stage of devil zombie body refining art, Brother Hong relied on this blood essence refining secret technique to absorb the demon bone essence. Brother Hong, do you remember this refining method? Hong Yuntian revealed a bit of reminiscence and said, although the elders lowered the requirements of the secret technique, it still requires a late nascent soul stage cultivator to activate. At that time, I was only at core formation stage, so I was unable to comprehend its mysteries. However, I made a copy and left it in the North Pole Mountain. Why do you need this secret technique? Lu Kuan pondered and said, when we were forging the Snow Soul Saber, we borrowed Brother Hong's true devil will from the devil race's essence. Although the frenzied devil will didn't last for long, it still proves that this method of combining wills is correct. If I want to fuse it with my body, then it will be a lot more complicated than refining tools. It would be best if I can control the devil essence in my body. The secret technique of Yuan School's elder, if I can refine the Devil King's body into blood essence, and then absorb it into my body to control it, then maybe it will be helpful for the fusion of blood and will. Hong Yintian pondered for a moment, then nodded and said, that makes some sense, but let's break through to the late stage first. If my judgment is correct, the drop of blood essence you absorbed in the magical beast garden and the one stored in the North Pole Mountain came from the same long-armed giant ape. No, it should be called long-armed demonic ape. When that young ape was discovered, it was when the long-armed demon ape king lost control and wreaked havoc in the devil camp. As for whether a bloodline of the same origin can improve your physical strength, I don't know. Lu Kuan smiled and said, Brother Hong, don't worry. These days, I have carefully deduced, and I am quite confident. By the way, the herbs used to replenish blood essence in the North Pole Mountain should be tens of thousands of years old. I don't know if it has any effect on bone transformation stage body cultivators. Hong Yintian hesitated and said, the qi in bloodgrass is a variant of several herbs mixed by the elders. The oldest one was hundreds of years old, and it only has an effect on disciples below the core formation stage. As for the tens of thousands of years old qi in bloodgrass, I'm not sure what effect it has. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with expectation. When we enter the North Pole Mountain, I have to give it a try. As long as it can speed up the recovery of blood essence in the bone transformation stage. Then wait, the power of space. Suddenly, the surrounding space cracks trembled violently, and a large amount of blue light gushed out from inside, turning into a mysterious trajectory that rushed towards the two. Did we trigger the ban? Is this an array formed by space cracks? Lu Kuan's qi and blood tumbled inside his body. He clenched his fists and was about to rush out, but Hong Yintian seemed to feel something and his pupils shrank. He said, this is Yuan School's short-distance transmission ban. Don't resist, otherwise it will stir up the space turbulence, and we will be in trouble. As soon as he finished speaking, the two of them disappeared in a faint blue light. In the ancient battlefield of the Broken Country, outside the valley filled with silver mist, for peak 7th-ranked demons were standing in 4 different positions. There were several long and narrow space cracks in each position, and pure demonic qi was gushing out from them. Suddenly, the most sturdy demon suddenly erupted with an astonishing, imposing aura, and a small purple-black yuanying rushed out from his head. This yuanying was more than an inch tall and looked similar to this demon, but it had no scales and a pair of many horns on its head. The rich demonic qi in the surroundings converged and poured into this yuanying in a steady stream. Then, this Yuanying's small hand sprinkled a purple brilliance, just like specks of starlight, and fell on its body. This sturdy body seemed to be stimulated by something, and the bunches of muscles under the scales slightly swelled and contracted. Creaking sounds came from inside its body, and bone spurs gradually emerged from its joints. A powerful coercion pervaded in all directions. But at this time, not far away from the silver mist valley suddenly tumbled, as if some kind of ban had been triggered, and the nearby space cracks filled with demonic chi were trembling incessantly. And the space crack next to this demon that had just broken through bloomed with a large amount of blue brilliance, and a large amount of space power gushed out. The nascent soul shuddered before quickly withdrawing back into its body. The burly devilish being opened its eyes with a stunned expression, but before it had a chance to do anything, it had disappeared amid the blue starlight. The other three nearby devilish tribe cultivators were also quite surprised to see this. How can there be space turbulence? It's only been half a month. It's impossible for there to be space turbulence. These peak 7th rank demon soldiers hurriedly suppressed the demonic power in their body and flew to the place where the missing demon had disappeared to carefully investigate. The surrounding space cracks seemed to be related to the space ceiling array below. Did Heifeng's breakthrough trigger the ban? We have to find another place to break through. We can't covet the demonic chi here. Yes, only by becoming a demon general can we help Lord Devil King. After a brief discussion, the 3 devil race cultivators decided to leave the place together. Because of the space turbulence, this was the first time they had sent demon soldiers here in advance. Originally, they wanted to borrow the pure demonic chi in the vicinity of the space crack to break through, but who would have thought that a Yuan school would set up such a trap, and the newly broken demon was directly sent away. This kind of ban involving the power of space was not something they could comprehend, so they had to find another place to break through. Damn it, Yuan school actually set up a secret ban. Heifeng's eyes were full of lavender blood, and his scaly face was full of anger. There was a square scale between his eyebrows that was exuding a layer of faint black light, protecting his body. This is a super long-distance transmission. Does Yuan school want to imprison me? This newly promoted demon general called Heifeng tried his best to stabilize the surging demon power in his body. Thanks to the scales on his forehead that were blessed by the demon elders, he was able to resist the power of space. Otherwise, the power of space brought about by long-distance teleportation was not something a newly promoted demon general like him could resist. A few thoughts flashed in his mind, and the power of space quickly dissipated, and a purple-black fog sea appeared in front of him. What a rich demonic chi! Hey, you are also transmitted here. Beside him was a female demon with a voluptuous figure wrapped in scales. The scale between her eyebrows was flashing with a black spirit light that wrapped around her body. Heifeng, Lord, you broke through. This is... The female demon sensed Heifeng's aura and revealed a charming smile. Just as she was about to say something, she was stopped by the other party. Heifeng narrowed his eyes and said with his divine sense, "Be careful. There seems to be a cultivator ahead. Hide your aura." This dense demonic fog was a natural barrier for demons, and it also enhanced their eyesight to a certain extent, allowing them to clearly see the situation in the distance. 20 feet away, there was a platform on a mountain peak, and there seemed to be some kind of ban on it, blocking the dense demonic fog. On the ground of the platform, there was a huge magic array flashing with light blue space power, and there were several cultivators around it. Near the demonic fog were 2 men. One of them had a bald head and a horse face, and his skin was covered with a layer of purple-black scales similar to those of demons. The other was dressed in black, and he was tall and sturdy, with short hair and a square face. The moment Heifeng saw these two, his pupils suddenly shrank, and the scales on his body unconsciously tightened. Beside him, Xuemei was even more unbearable, and her body seemed to be trembling subconsciously. This kind of physical pressure, I feel like I've felt it from Lord Demon King before. Purple-black scales. Could they be Lord Demon King's bodies? The female demon said with a hint of excitement in her voice. Hei Feng said calmly, "No, their soul aura is that of a human. Don't act rashly." He looked into the distance again, and there were 4 cultivators there, 3 women and 1 man. The leader was a silver-haired woman in a white dress, surrounded by a circle of icy blue light. Just as Hei Feng looked over, the silver-haired woman seemed to have sensed something, and she turned her light blue eyes toward the 2 devilish beings. Immediately afterward, the 2 devilish beings felt an extremely cold intent assault them, and even their divine souls felt as if they were being frozen. Not good. A soul formation cultivator. Hei Feng's expression changed, and he grabbed the female demon beside him. Demonic energy surged in his body, and he was about to fly into the distance. But at that moment, the demonic fog around them suddenly solidified, and an endless pressure surged towards them. The 2 demons were directly imprisoned in midair, and no matter how much demonic energy they had, they couldn't break free. Hei Feng felt this power, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. This is the power of the Demon King. Chapter 1272. Hei Feng and the female demon beside him did not have any strength to resist. They were pulled in front of the 2 men by this invisible binding force. The tall and sturdy man said in surprise, "A 7th-level demon soldier and an 8th-level demon general. They just broke through. Could it be that there are demons living in a broken country?" Hei Feng was sent to the cultivation world and naturally learned the language here. After hearing this sentence, his eyes were filled with disbelief. This man who had the power of a demon king was actually not a demon. Then he heard the bald man say, "No, the smell of their bodies is very fresh. They should have just come from the demon world." Very fresh. When Hei Feng heard this, he could not help but look at the bald man. The bald man was licking his lips. His eyes seemed to be looking at some kind of food, making his hair stand on end. The tall and sturdy man was puzzled. The ancient battlefield will open in a few months. How did the demons come in early? The bald man looked at the silver-haired woman in the distance and lightly said, "We'll know after searching her soul. Leave it to me." Hei Feng then felt his body loosen. Following this, an invisible force wrapped around them and pulled them in front of the bald man. The surrounding force seemed to have decreased, but they were still unable to break free. It's the power of a demon king again. Less than 1,000,000 gene, a demon general with the power of a demon king. This is impossible. Hei Feng and the female demon's expressions became dazed. They even forgot their situation. Their eyes were blank. Everything that had just happened had a huge impact on their cognition. While they were in a daze, the bald man's hands unknowingly grabbed their scaly necks. Those small fingers directly turned into a purplish-black liquid, turning into a deformed tentacle and stuffed into the 2 demons' mouths. Woo! The 2 demons suddenly came back to their senses and let out painful howls. Their bodies subconsciously struggled madly. The liquid that had entered their bodies was like countless demonic insects, gnawing at every inch of their flesh and blood. The heart-wrenching pain constantly eroded their nerves. Even the bones in their bodies were creaking. The bones of demon generals were not inferior to magic treasures, but they were actually being devoured by this strange energy. In just a few breaths, the 2 demons stopped struggling. Their frightened eyes gradually dimmed. At this time, they could no longer feel the existence of their bodies. It was as if they had lost control of their bodies. Moreover, the power of a demon king still pervaded their bodies, tightly binding their souls and nascent souls. They did not even have the chance to self-destruct. Then a middle nascent soul stage divine sense surged over. The 2 demons' heads buzzed and fell into dizziness. Lu Kuan looked at Hong Yintian control over the 2 demons with a raise of his hand and sighed in his heart. The devil zombie body refining art was simply the nemesis of the devil clan. Hong Yintian had swallowed an unknown number of devil corpses since he started cultivating. His understanding of the Devil Clan's physical body was probably even more detailed than his own. With the help of the Chi Blood Devil power and the Chi Blood Doppelganger ability, as long as one's physical body was weaker than his, they would be devoured and turned into doppelgangers and be controlled by him. Lu Kuan noticed the words on the ground, but when he was about to read it, he felt a terrifying divine sense with a cold while enveloping them. Lu Kuan snorted coldly. His body flashed and blocked in front of Hong Yuntian. He stretched out his right hand, and the flesh on his palm split open, revealing a silver blade tip. There were faint five-colored lights flashing on it. A frenzied will surged out along with the silver blood mist. It turned into an arc of blade, aura, and blocked in front of Lu Kuan. Frenzied will, Demon King? Fairy Beihan sensed this from afar, and her face changed color. She stopped her divine sense and didn't act rashly. Lu Jinyuan heard this and waved the fan in his hand. Balls of blue spirit light came out and wrapped around him and the twins. They turned into a beam of light and flew away. If the enemy was really a demon king, they would not be able to help and would be a burden to their ancestral master. The twins were also shocked, but they were relieved when they remembered that their ancestral master was also a soul formation cultivator. In the escape light, they looked at the array formation at the entrance of the cave abode. Then, they looked at the two strange men in the distance who seemed to have transformed into demonic beasts. Not long ago, they set up a special array according to Fairy Beihan's instructions and broke the restriction of the cave with the help of the dimension energy nearby. However, during the process of casting the spell, the surrounding spatial power somehow linked up with the silver restriction at the entrance of the cave, triggering some kind of hidden teleportation formation. Then, the two men appeared here. They were Lu Kuan and Hong Yuntian. After they were teleported, they immediately noticed the four cultivators in front of them. Although the silver-haired woman was a soul formation cultivator, they didn't care much about her since they had fought with 6 soul formation cultivators. They were more interested in the demons. Lu Kuan ignored Lu Jinyuan and the other two and looked at the soul formation cultivator in front of him and asked, "Who are you? Why are you in the North Pole Mountain?" Hearing this, Fairy Beihan slowly moved up and put some distance between them. She narrowed her eyes and said, "I'm the Grand Elder of the Bei Yuan sect. Fairy Beihan, where are you from?" "How do you know this is the North Pole Mountain?" Lu Kuan pointed at the words on the ground and chuckled. "This is Hong Yuntian. He's the owner of this place, so of course he knows." Fairy Beihan was shocked at first. Then, she looked at the bald man with a mid-stage nascent soul divine sense and said sarcastically, "The words below were carved by the ancestral master of our sect. You said your companion is Hong Yuntian. Then, he must be more than 70,000 years old." Lu Kuan nodded seriously and said, "If we count the time, Brother Hong has indeed lived that long." Anger flashed in Fairy Beihan's eyes. She said, "Do you think I'm immortal? This is the sacred ground of the Bei Yuan sect, and we don't welcome outsiders. If you want to leave, I can show you the way. But if you have other ideas, don't blame me for being rude." While talking, a crystal clear blade like a crescent moon appeared in her hand. It was surrounded by wisps of essence chi and emitted a powerful energy. It turned out to be a divine spirit treasure. At the same time, the spirit essence chi in the sky surged and formed a giant cloud of essence chi, pressing down. The sea of purple fiend chi around was pressed down dozens of feet, as if all the spirit essence chi in the world was under Fairy Beihan's control. Lu Kuan saw this and thought of the scene when he was surrounded by the soul formation cultivators. He said coldly, "So, you broke through here. So what if we're in your territory? You're just a pseudo-soul formation cultivator. How dare you talk to Lu like that? You're courting death." At the end of his sentence, Lu Kuan shot forward. His body surged with an extremely vigorous vitality. His muscle fibers swelled up, and his body grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. The hair on the surface of his skin also turned black. In a blink, he had turned into a giant black ape that was 50 feet tall. A terrifying energy spread out from his giant body. Monster King Ape. Fairy Beihan looked at the giant monster ape that was 100 feet away and her face changed. If she hadn't purposely put some distance between them, they would have closed in on her before she could react. Void essence condensation. The giant black ape suddenly let out a furious roar. It raised its arms that were as thick as pillars supporting the heavens, and its two huge palms suddenly clenched into fists. The berserk power even brought about a burst of airwaves. Then, Fairy Behan suddenly felt that the essence chi around her was out of control, as if it was being snatched by some overbearing energy. The cold moon blade in her hand trembled, and the essence chi halo on it was about to break away. This is my essence chi territory. Why is it like this? Wait, the fiend essence chi. She was terrified to find that there was also a large amount of black light coming out from the thick fiend chi below. One black and one white. The two types of yuan chi rapidly condensed in the air. In the blink of an eye, they transformed into a pair of incomparably solid giant monkey fists. The palm lines and hairs on the fists could be clearly seen. A suffocating pressure emanated from them. Oh no! Fairy Behan gritted her teeth and circulated her true essence. She couldn't use the essence chi of heaven and earth, so she could only rely on the essence chi in her true essence. The cold moon blade in front of her and the shield around her shone brightly, turning her entire body into an icy blue color. Boom! The next moment, the black and white essence chi fists clashed with the icy blue light ball. The terrifying essence chi power intertwined. Although waves of violent air billowed in all directions, the surrounding demonic spirit yuan chi did not agitate. Instead, it gathered inwards and endlessly added to the giant fist. The icy blue light ball was also surging with terrifying true essence. It was in a stalemate with the fists, but the spirit light on it flashed. It seemed that it wouldn't last long. As if sensing this, the black and white fist had a new change. They suddenly closed inwards, trying to merge into one. A trace of golden light vaguely appeared in the black and white halo. But then, the golden light disappeared as if it had never appeared. The black and white fists that were about to merge seemed to have been stimulated and exploded. A world-destroying aura soared into the sky, and more than half of the spirit light on the icy blue halo dissipated. It was sent flying without being able to resist, crashing into a floating island thousands of feet away. For a moment, besides the rolling airwaves, only the rumbling sound of the collision echoed in the world. Chapter 1273. Human Soul Formation. Cultivators don't fight to the death. I'll spare your life today. Get out of here. The deep voice seemed to be able to penetrate the clouds and spread out the spirit chi, exposing the bottom of the floating island. There was a giant pit there. Blood came out of the corner of Fairy Behan's mouth, and she lay there without any strength. Her white dress had turned into ashes and was replaced by a blue armor. It extended to her limbs like the scales of some kind of creature, covering every inch of her skin and outlining her curves. This soul formation female cultivator's eyes were filled with terror. At this moment, she had lost most of her senses in her body. Even a small portion of her meridians had been shattered. Although her nascent soul was intact and she still had a lot of true essence, her physical body had been severely damaged. The power of many of her divine arts had been greatly reduced. The Behan fairy spat out a mouthful of blood and endured the pain inside her body. Her essence spirit spread out, and the spirit chi around her immediately turned into many white rings of light that enveloped her body. She flew out of the pit with her severely injured body. He suppressed my primordial spirit and has such terrifying power. Is he a real monster king? Wait, he just said a human soul formation cultivator. Fairy Behan turned around and flew into the sky with a bit of confusion in her frightened eyes. The strength that the other party had displayed completely suppressed her. If not for the inner armor that Li Beiyuan had left behind, her physical body would have been completely destroyed. Even though she was severely injured, she would be able to recover after a while with true essence and elixirs. Lu Jinyuan and the other two were at the entrance of the dimension. Seeing their ancestral master severely injured, they didn't dare to say anything and flew out as well. After leaving the dimension, Fairy Beihan looked at the arrays around her and grunted. An icy blue aura flashed, and the arrays were blown apart. The silver aura in the middle gathered again and closed the entrance. Then Lu Jinyuan suddenly said, "Ancestral Master, I know who that senior is." Fairy Beihan's pale lips moved, and her voice sounded a bit hoarse. "Is he really a human?" Lu Jinyuan smiled wryly and said, "He can turn into a black ape, has the surname Lu, and has such terrifying power. He must be the Master Lu of the Body Refining Pavilion." Body Refining Pavilion? He recalled the information obtained by the disciples of the sect and continued. The Body Refining Pavilion is located in the southwest immortal cultivation world. It's a sect that suddenly appeared 100 years ago. They cultivate a body refining technique that has never been seen before in the immortal cultivation world. If it weren't for the fact that Master Lu fought against two semi-god realm cultivators in the Great Zhou dynasty, I'm afraid that this sect would continue to hide. Fairy Beihan nodded. That guy had definitely reached the level of a real soul formation cultivator. Even two pseudo-soul formation cultivators would be at a disadvantage, she murmured. Could it be that this body refining technique allows a cultivator to master the true power of the primordial spirit in the turbid primordial chi of the world? Oh right, this guy can also control the primordial chi of the devil. When Lu Jinyuan heard his grandmaster's words, even with his calm temperament, he could not help but break out in cold sweat. "Grandmaster, you can't be greedy for the cultivation arts of the body refining pavilion. That's why the Saint Devil sect of the Great Zhou dynasty was crippled by Master Lu. Even the Taishian sect, which has a soul formation cultivator, lost half of its power. The Northern Yuan sect can't afford to offend such a vengeful overlord." Fairy Beihan remained silent for a while and said, "Let's search for resources around here. We'll leave when the Broken Kingdom is over." Lu Jinyuan looked at the silver seal in front of him and hesitated. "But, Grandmaster, we've sealed the entrance." A glint of coldness flashed in Fairy Beihan's eyes. "If he can come in, he can certainly leave." "Why? Are you siding with him?" "I wouldn't dare. Let's go. Let's take all the resources outside the North Pole Mountain." "Yes, Grandmaster." In the space inside the North Pole Mountain, on the platform in the middle of the Sea of Fiend Chi, Hong Yintian was holding two demons with his eyes closed, as if he were still searching their souls. Lu Kuan stood on the side and watched the Beihan fairy leave behind a cloud in the sky. He then looked at the silver spirit aura that enveloped the area and pondered. The North Pole Mountain is inside the Broken Kingdom. The three nascent soul cultivators of the Northern Yuan sect must have teleported in from a special place. This place is the essence chi domain of Fairy Beihan. It seems that she has been trapped here for 600 years. Seeing that the entrance was closed, Lu Kuan was not worried. From the words on the ground, he could tell that the Yuan sect had left this place for Hong Yintian. As the owner, he must be familiar with the seals here. Seeing that Hong Yintian was still searching their souls, Lu Kuan closed his eyes and sensed his internal organs. He didn't know whether it was because of the Snow Soul Twin Blades or because his internal organs had been refined again, but his internal organs were not exhausted. Although the battle just now was short, it was equivalent to him using the power of one origin 3 times. The 2 void fists were used twice, and the 2 fists were used once. If it was 100 years ago, his internal organs would have been overdrawn. With the help of the life force, the fiend spirit essence, Qi, seems to be able to fuse temporarily. That trace of golden light is the product of the fusion. Unfortunately, they are not stable. The conflict between the 2 different kinds of essence Qi, just like the fiend spirit essence Qi and the Dharma power, erupting with a terrifying destructive energy. Looking at it this way, Lu Kuan thought back to the time when the Snow Soul Twin Blades were refined. The golden light emitting endless power gradually formed an idea in his mind. See eyes, the two divine souls scattered in all directions, and the bodies of the two fiends fell to the ground. Hong Yuntian opened his eyes, and the tentacles returned to his body. He sighed softly and said, "The fiend's spirit essence is indeed under a seal. The information I can find is limited. I only know that the space crack has loosened a lot this time. When the broken country opened, 9 core formation stage fiends crossed over. This fiend's spirit essence general triggered the power of space when he was breaking through and was teleported here." Lu Kuan nodded gently and pointed to the ground. "Brother Hong, look here." Hong Yuntian was busy searching their souls and didn't pay attention to the surroundings. Only now did he see the words on the ground. His pupils shrank as he said, "Li Beiyuan, this is Elder Li." Soon after, his gaze became absent-minded, and a strange fluctuation suddenly appeared in his divine sense. The silver seal at the entrance of the cave seemed to have sensed something and suddenly released a bright light, shooting a silver lightning straight towards Hong Yuntian. Not good. Lu Kuan's expression changed. He crossed his arms and directly blocked in front of him. But who would have thought that the lightning would ignore his body and pass through? It gave him the feeling that it was some kind of divine soul attack, similar to the golden light divine eye. CI. The silver lightning's speed was astonishing. After passing through Lu Kuan, it fell on Hong Yuntian's head. "Brother Hong." Lu Kuan's eyes immediately turned red, but soon after, he discovered that Hong Yuntian's divine soul aura hadn't changed. He was just staring blankly at the words on the ground, seemingly unaffected. "What's going on?" Lu Kuan's face was full of doubt. He didn't understand what was going on, but seeing that Hong Yuntian was fine, he was slightly relieved and waited on the side. After about half an hour, Hong Yuntian's eyes regained their luster. He let out a long sigh and bowed to the rock mound in front of him. His tone was full of respect as he said, "Elderly, disciple Hong Yuntian has returned. Elder, don't worry. I have successfully taken that step and have a direction in the spirit severing stage. More importantly, I have met a guy who has completely perfected the body refining path. The body refining branch of the human race has taken shape," he said in a firm tone. "In the future, we will definitely go to the upper world and fight against the alien race together with Yuan School." Lu Kuan said with concern, "Brother Hong, just now, a silver lightning like a divine soul attack hit you. Are you okay?" Hong Yuntian shook his head and sighed. "I'm fine. It turns out that the grand young elder left a seal. When I see the 3 words Li Beiyuan, it will be completely unsealed." "Seal?" Lu Kuan was stunned. He didn't expect this. Hong Yuntian's eyes were complicated. "It's some information left by the grand young elder and the improved demon refining art. I finally understand what I didn't understand before. Demon refining art? It made you immune to the true devil intent." Lu Kuan couldn't help but look at a paragraph of text on the ground. Hong Yuntian said slowly, "You have read the letter of Han Jing of the Blood Beast sect. You should know that after I fell asleep, the Han family used the Qi and blood magical beasts of the body refining branch and the disciples of the demon zombie body refining art to cultivate some kind of devil art." Lu Kuan nodded. When he first saw it, he was very angry. Hong Yuntian sighed softly. This was the Grand Elder's decision. He wanted to use the true devil intent to suppress the bloodthirsty intent. Han Ting also tried to extract the frenzied devil intent through the Qi and blood magical beasts. Although the frenzied devil intent didn't succeed, the method of suppressing the bloodthirsty intent made great progress. Han Ting repeatedly experimented with other demon zombie body refining disciples and finally created the demon refining art. She temporarily refined my sleeping body into a sub-body and soaked it in the water of the true demon. Through the purification of the demon refining art, although it didn't eliminate the bloodthirst, it made me immune to the true demon. The other demon zombie body refining disciples in Yuan's secret territory experienced an incomplete demon refining art. Only I was completely immune. Otherwise, all the disciples who woke up that year would have regained their consciousness. What the Grand Elder left in my divine sense is the final and complete version of the devil refinement art. So that's how it is. Lu Kuan suddenly understood. Many of the doubts in his heart were solved. Why was the Yuan school called the Demon Refining Cave? Why did the demon zombie body refining disciples have the true devil intent? Why was Hong Yuntian immune to the true devil intent? He glanced at the text on the ground and asked, in that case, why did Senior place this seal? If you didn't come here, you wouldn't have been able to unseal it? Hong Yuntian sighed and said, to be honest, even if I didn't meet you, I would have used the opening of the broken country to return to the North Pole Mountain. The silver lightning, just now, was specifically targeted at the Demon King's soul. After all, the Demon Island's array can keep the Demon King's soul alive. Just in case Senior did something, by activating the Divine Soul Seal, he triggered the restrictive power of the North Pole Mountain. If the body wasn't seized, the Divine Soul wouldn't be damaged. Lu Kuan was stunned. So cautious? Hong Yuntian revealed a rare smile and said, if the demon race knew the method to be immune to the true devil intent, it would be troublesome. There was a hint of respect in his voice as he said, the Grand Elder arranged everything so that I could break through to the soul formation stage. The Demon King that is released in the broken country every 500 years is left for me to absorb and capture after I break through. Secondly, it allows the demon cultivators in the immortal cultivation world to continue studying the special devil intent. That Saint Demon King almost succeeded. Thirdly, it allows the high-level immortal cultivators in this world to maintain a sense of crisis and avoid a big fight between the spirit-severing stage. Lu Kuan sighed and said, as expected of a senior from the Yuan school, he has thought so far ahead. I think those old guys didn't kill him at the beginning because of the demon race's crisis. Those guys are too narrow-minded. Hong Yuntian looked at the ground and said, according to the Grand Elder's arrangement, this immortal cultivation world is the backup world of the upper realm. Whether it's me or others, as long as they have the ability to ascend, it means that they have the combat power of the spirit-severing stage in this turbid vitality environment. The cultivation method they cultivate will definitely be of great help to the tragic war in the upper realm. Such an environment will force out such geniuses. Lu Kuan heard this and was suddenly puzzled. But if the war in the upper realm is really tragic, how can we, the human cultivators, hold on for more than 70,000 years? Hong Yuntian did not answer directly, but asked in return, the energy of heaven and earth in the upper realm is more unique. Various races fight each other for resources, but our immortal cultivation world is full of pure spiritual energy. Why would the demon race and the underworld insect race come to snatch it? Lu Kuan was stunned. Yes, why? These two foreign races had nothing better to do. Why would they fight over this foreign energy world? There must be something behind it that is extremely attractive to them. The backup world of the human race. The war in the upper realm lasted for 70,000 years, etc. Lu Kuan connected a few questions, and suddenly an incredible answer appeared in his heart. He hesitated and said, could it be that the flow of time in the two worlds is not equal? Hong Yuntian looked up at the sky and was silent for a while. 100 years here is equivalent to a year in the upper realm. Chapter 1274. Lu Kuan finally understood why the Demon Clan and the Nether Insect Clan were fighting over this place. A soul formation cultivator might need 1,000 years to cultivate, but in other realms they only needed to wait about 10 years. This immortal cultivation world was simply a cradle to quickly cultivate powerhouses. Hong Yuntian said with a complicated expression, the humans of the upper realm have been able to establish themselves in that terrifying realm because of our immortal cultivation world's continuous supply of soul formation cultivators. Now that the upper realm hasn't had any reinforcements for more than 700 years, coupled with the tragic war between the foreign races, I'm afraid the humans are in a precarious situation. Hearing the secrets of these realms, Lu Kuan had new doubts in his heart. The upper realm the immortal cultivation world, and Earth. What was the special connection between these three? If the immortal cultivation world's time flow was very special, then was it the same as Earth's? He was now more than 460 years old. Didn't that mean only 4 years had passed on Earth? The wise stone monkey, long-armed ape monkey, Taowu, and Yazi were creatures that appeared in the ancient myths of Earth. What was the connection between them and this world? Were the years when the myths and legends of Earth occurred equivalent to 100 or 200,000 years ago in the immortal cultivation world? Lu Kuan took a deep breath and put away the complicated thoughts in his mind. If I can enter the upper realm, I might be able to get answers to these questions. The most important thing now is to absorb the blood essence of the long-armed giant ape and break through to the late stage of bone change. Then, I'll increase my physical strength to 2 million pounds and forcefully enter the soul formation realm with pure physical strength. He looked at the cave residence next to him that was covered by a silver restriction and said slowly, "Brother Hong, we have to hurry." "Okay, the restriction here hasn't changed. As long as there's a matching soul power, it can be opened." As he spoke, Hong Yuntian waved his hand, and 2 bracelets fell from the wrists of the 2 demon corpses. He threw them to Lu Kuan. Then, he put away the demon corpses and walked to the front of the cave residence. His soul came out of his body and formed a mysterious light that shot forward. Lu Kuan took the bracelet and found that it was filled with stones that emitted a purplish-black light. They were similar to demon stones and contained pure demonic qi. Other than that, there were also some demonic treasures and pills. Although the auras of these demonic treasures were not weak, they were not demonic treasures. Demonic treasures that were comparable to heavenly spiritual treasures could not be used by demons who had just become demon generals. After 10 breaths of time, the silver light curtains slowly opened, revealing the stone door behind it. Hong Yuntian's eyes revealed a look of nostalgia. He stretched out his hands and pushed forward. Along with the rumbling sound, the scene inside came into view. This was a cave residence that was hundreds of feet in size. There were 9 houses lined up from left to right. The first 8 were made of dragon snapping stone, while the 9th was surrounded by a layer of colorful light. Through the light, one could see that it was a house made of jade. "Hey, I remember there were only 8 storage rooms. Why is there a 9th one?" Hong Yuntian looked at the colorful jade house with a strange look in his eyes. He extended his soul sense forward. Lu Kuan also released his soul sense, but then his face turned pale and he felt dizzy. He quickly withdrew his soul sense. This colorful restriction seemed to be able to devour soul sense. Hong Yuntian said with a strange tone, "Transforming one divine restriction. No wonder the great elder left behind a soul sense secret method. It turns out to be a way to break it." "Transforming one divine restriction?" Lu Kuan asked curiously. Hong Yuntian said, "This is a special restriction of Yuan sect. It can be broken by force with the power of deity stage or by soul sense. And even if you know the way to break it, without the pure soul sense of nascent soul stage or above, it is difficult to open it." He frowned and said, "The great elder gave the way to break it. This is to test the purity of my soul sense. What is behind it?" Lu Kuan suddenly remembered the words on the ground at the door. His expression changed, and he said, "Could it be the treasure that seniorly said can help you comprehend the power of will?" Hong Yuntian frowned and said, "I have never heard of such a treasure in Yuan sect." "Wait, could it be the legendary?" He seemed to think of something. His eyes lit up. His figure flashed and landed outside the jade house. The incomparably condensed soul sense of the middle stage of nascent soul stage came out of his body and formed a soul sense storm. With a strange fluctuation, it rushed into the colorful restriction. Yuan sect is worthy of being a top sect. There is such a strange formation. Lu Kuan sighed. He was only proficient in refining tools. He knew nothing about formations and talismans above nascent soul stage. When he encountered a top formation, he could only break it with brute force. After half an hour, The divine sense fluctuations in front of him slowly calmed down, and the 5 colors of the restriction also dissipated, revealing a jade door. There was only a strange circular array inside. At the edge of the formation, there were a total of 81 white jade balls arranged in a row. Streaks of twisted spiritual light emerged from them, forming a multicolored hazy mist above the formation. Lu Kuan's soul sense of the late stage of nascent soul stage was blocked as soon as it approached the fog. It seemed that he could not explore the situation inside. This is the reincarnation formation. This legendary magic array is actually real. Hong Yintian seemed to recognize this magic array, and his eyes flashed with shock. Reincarnation formation? Lu Kuan curiously said. This is the treasure that helps you comprehend the power of will. Hong Yintian took a deep breath and said with a tone of amazement, I told you before that the power of will is divided into 2 types. One is the characteristic of all things in the world, and the other is the manifestation of some extreme emotions. The second type of will requires the cultivator to seal his memory and cultivation. He needs to become immortal and experience the world. It often takes hundreds of years. The reason why it takes so long is that most mortals' lives are very dull. Only extremely bumpy experiences are helpful for the comprehension of will. And this reincarnation formation uses the magical power of entering dreams to let the cultivator experience 81 episodes of extreme life ups and downs in a short period of time. It increases the probability of comprehending the power of will. Hearing this, Lu Kuan was dumbfounded. There was actually such a terrifying array formation. Hong Yintian looked at the jade balls at the edge of the formation and said slowly, we all thought that this was a legendary formation. It's not because it's complicated to set up, but because the materials are too rare. It requires soul formation stage seniors who have comprehended emotions and willpower to engrave their deepest memories into it using the great art of entering dreams. Only after accumulating 81 pieces of mortal experiences can the reincarnation grand array be successfully constructed. He sighed and said, although the Yuan sect is powerful, there are only 5 or 6 soul formation stage elders in each generation who have comprehended emotions and will. Even if each of them provides 2 or 3 episodes of mortal experience, it will still take nearly 30 soul formation stage cultivators to gather the materials for the reincarnation formation. Hong Yintian said with a complicated look. Most importantly, once the reincarnation formation is used, it will consume all the mortal experience and it will be scrapped. Lu Kuan took a deep breath. The cost of this reincarnation formation was too high. It required the experience of dozens of soul formation stage cultivators, and the final effect of the formation could only be used once. Hong Yintian glanced at him and said indifferently, Lu Kuan, do you want to go in and give it a try? Lu Kuan was stunned for a moment. Then he laughed and said, my goal is the frenzied demonic will. The will of the spirit attribute already has the frenzied demonic will. What's the use of other wills? I don't even know if I can fuse them into my bloodline. Not to mention, this was given to you by the Yuan sect seniors. Speaking up to here, a light flashed in his mind, and his eyes were filled with excitement. Oh, right, Brother Hong. If you comprehend a new will, you might be able to fuse it into a bloodline similar to the frenzied demonic will. Bloodline will? Hong Yintian thought for a moment and soon understood. You have the frenzied bloodline of the long-armed demon ape. You need to refine the true demonic will in your bloodline to form the frenzied demonic will. If I enter the middle stage of devil change, the demonic zombie essence in my body will transform into the true demonic bloodline. If I confuse it with a spirit attribute will, I will have the chance to create a bloodline that can control the demonic spirit chi. The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. He walked forward and said, in the other stone houses, other than the blood essence of top-level demonic beasts, there are also some cultivation method books. You can go and collect them yourself. The cave house's restrictions can withstand the attacks of soul formation stage cultivators. I won't stand guard for you." After saying that, Hong Yuntian impatiently entered the Jade House. The multicolor restrictions outside rose up again. Chapter 1275. Looking at the Jade House, Lu Kuan was suddenly filled with anticipation. Although he had a clear path to the soul formation stage, it would be difficult for other body cultivators to replicate. After all, the disciples of the body refining pavilion were all of human bloodline. They didn't have the berserk bloodline, and their physical strength was ordinary. According to Lu Kuan's speculation, ordinary body cultivators would have to comprehend the power of will if they wanted to break through to the soul formation stage. After that, they would have to find a way to fuse it with their internal organs and spread it throughout their body, increasing their physical strength to 1 million kilograms. However, he would have to study how to fuse the will with the internal organs and how the will energy could strengthen the body when he fused with the berserk demonic will. If Hong Yuntian also comprehended the power of will, then he would have one more reference, and the method of soul formation would be more perfect. As Lu Kuan pondered, he walked into the 8-stone house and found that there were 2 bookshelves inside. The bookshelves were filled with jade slips. Lu Kuan scanned them with his divine sense and revealed a look of joy. In addition to the special method of refining blood essence, there was also the cultivation method of qi and bloodgrass, several methods of refining blood essence recovery pills, and some secret cultivation techniques related to body refinement. These things would be very helpful to the body refining pavilion, so Lu Kuan put them all away. The 7 houses at the back were built with broken dragonstone. Even so, he could still sense the rich blood essence power inside, especially the one on the left. It exuded the same bloodline aura as his. Lu Kuan walked into the next stone house and looked at the ancient text on the jade bottle in the middle. He couldn't help but be surprised. Is this the blood essence of the Kuei ox? He then opened it and found a strange pill that seemed to be condensed flesh and blood. He couldn't help but release a trace of silver blood mist to sense it. After a while, Lu Kuan said thoughtfully, "It's like a Kuei ox's body was compressed into a pill. Every inch of muscle, bone, and internal organs were smelted into extremely small units and finally blended into a pill state. It seems to be to facilitate the absorption of blood essence and demonic power." Lu Kuan looked at the other 2 jade bottles in the room. Both of them were top-notch demonic beasts. With a wave of his hand, he put them all into the storage space in his rib cage. Then, he walked towards a stone room at the back. 3-legged firebird, golden-winged eagle, black tortoise, 5-colored peacock, ice phoenix. In each stone house, there was a blood and flesh pellet of a top bloodline. There are also a few blood and flesh pellets of the same bloodline. In the second last house, there was a blood and essence of the Qilin bloodline. In today's immortal cultivation world, not to mention these top demon beasts, even the second-class bloodline is very rare. Could it be that Yi Yuan school is besieging the demon race for the sake of the human race's body refining lineage? Lu Kuan had a complicated look in his eyes as he walked into the last secret room. There was only a jade bottle here with the words, "Giant long-armed ape," written on it. I'm afraid that the Yi Yuan school didn't know that this was the bloodline of the Tongbi demon ape. He picked up the jade bottle and rubbed the words on it. According to the order of these stone houses, the Tongbi demon ape was the strongest bloodline of the demon race in the eyes of the Yi Yuan school. Lu Kuan paused for a moment. Then, he walked out of the stone house and looked around. He found a corner that was the furthest away from the jade house and sat down. He took out another jade bottle and drank the silver blood in it. He had just transformed into the Tongbi demon ape and fought with Beihan Fairy. Although his internal organs were not damaged, he had consumed a lot of blood and essence. After a while, Lu Kuan opened his eyes again. He opened the jade bottle containing the blood and essence of the Tongbi demon ape and poured out a pale golden blood and flesh pellet. Looking at the blood and flesh pellet, Lu Kuan seemed to think of something. His eyes flashed with a hint of reluctance, but he still swallowed it after a moment of hesitation. As soon as the blood and flesh pellet entered his throat, It was wrapped up by a mass of silver blood. The method of extracting blood and essence is to separate the blood and essence into different parts of the body. This blood and essence is more suitable to be devoured and broken down by qi and blood. Lu Kuan disassembled the blood and flesh pellet and transported it to different parts of his body. On the surface of his skin and internal organs, strange lines formed by the golden blood and flesh pellet gradually appeared. The blood and essence in the depths of this mass of blood and essence indeed contains the will of frenzy. Lu Kuan sensed this and couldn't help but speed up the absorption. As time passed, these lines gradually disappeared and some of the pale golden blood and essence of the blood were spat out. After a few days, Lu Kuan opened his eyes and felt that his body was full of blood and essence. He twisted his body and found that his strength was still 2 million gene. His expression became dignified. Although I have a new blood origin and have a 100% chance of breaking through to the late stage of bone transformation, the increase in the foundation of my strength is Lu Kuan's promise to Hong Yun Tian was just to comfort him. But in reality, even if he obtained a new long-armed demon ape blood essence, he still didn't have much confidence in increasing the foundation of his strength. At first, when he finished refining the Snow Soul Saber and replenished the Will of Frenzy, he had a feeling that he hadn't had enough. He felt that if he fused with more long-armed demon ape blood origin and then condensed the Will of Frenzy, he would be able to increase his strength. But later on the way to the Broken Nation, he repeatedly thought about it. The more he researched, the more he felt that this method might not succeed. The bloodlines of those top demonic beasts can be separated into bloodline origin and will power. The true dragon bloodline is the blood, origin, and will of pride. The long-armed demon ape bloodline is the blood, origin, and will of frenzy. Origin and will correspond to each other. This blood essence that I just absorbed already contains the will of frenzy. It is already fused with the blood origin. So how can I inject more will of frenzy? Lu Kuan hesitated for a moment. Then, with a wave of his hand, a black mountain rock that flashed with a metallic luster appeared in front of him. The will of frenzy surged within it. It was the will of frenzy that he had collected from the mountain of vows before he left. No matter what, I still have to give it a try. Then, he held the black mountain rock with both hands. Blood flowed out from between his fingers like roots. Strands of will of frenzy trembled and quickly entered the blood. The blood can still continue to absorb will of frenzy? Lu Kuan revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. It seemed to be different from what he had expected. Half a day later, he stopped. There was still a lot of will of frenzy left in the black mountain rock in his hand. The blood could no longer be absorbed. Lu Kuan opened his eyes and looked at his body with some expectation. His nerves trembled and his muscles began to contract. But soon, he discovered that his strength still hadn't changed. It was still 1,200,000 gene. Failed. Then why does my blood still need to absorb will of frenzy? It's impossible for the will of frenzy to disappear after entering the blood. Where is its energy reflected? Lu Kuan murmured with a puzzled expression. Fortunately, he had some expectations in his heart. After a moment of absent-mindedness, he fell into contemplation. The will of frenzy in the blood has been saturated, but the blood's desire for will of frenzy hasn't decreased. Where did the newly integrated will of frenzy go? There must be a mystery in the depths of the blood that I haven't discovered yet. In a refining method of the Demon Dragon Blade, there are many strange runes that achieve the fusion of will. Could these runes be related to the mystery of the blood? The long-armed ape-monkey bloodline can increase strength. What kind of method is it? Lu Kuan's mind suddenly had many doubts about the bloodline. He had a faint feeling that if he could get the answers to these questions, he might be able to find a way to increase his strength. It might even be helpful in fusing the will of frenzy. Lu Kuan fell into contemplation. He didn't know how long had passed before he suddenly thought of something. Right, the strength of my internal organs is amazing now. I also have the protection of the Snow Soul Saber. Can I suppress the eruption of the Yuan force at the moment of the demon ape transformation and feel the way the blood energy operates? Lu Kuan didn't hesitate to do it. The muscles of his body shrank as if they had lost water. All the essence blood in his body gathered in his internal organs. Then, a small amount of true demon water gushed out from his ribs. The essence blood and demon energy in his body surged and collided with his chest. Boom! Lu Kuan's thin body crawled on the ground. His eyes were bloodshot. All the essence blood in his body condensed in the center of his internal organs. He forcibly blocked the eruption of the Yuan force in the center of his internal organs. This terrifying blood energy couldn't find a way to vent, so it became more and more violent. Although it was wrapped in incomparably vigorous essence blood, there was still a terrifying force that spread out. The slippery internal organs were constantly trembling. Lu Kuan endured the throbbing pain in his internal organs and used his consciousness to feel. This is the active supernatural power of the blood. The original long-armed ape-monkey bloodline absorbed the true demon intent and erupted with energy. How do they release it? Damn it, the origin of the bloodline, the aura of madness, and the true demon intent can be sensed. But the combination of the three can't be detected at all. Why can't I detect it? Is the depth of the bloodline beyond the detection limit of my consciousness? The blood in his eyes deepened. His consciousness came into close contact with the willpower, causing his soul to be somewhat affected. His expression became crazy and restless. Since I can't sense it with my consciousness, then I will use the central nervous system. I don't believe that there is anything in my body that I, Lu Kuan, can't sense. Lu Kuan's face was crazy. His consciousness retreated to the sea of consciousness. The brain matter in his head suddenly collapsed and shrank, turning into a milky white liquid that flowed into the spine along the occiput. Then, under the guidance of the spinal nerves, it turned into a white silk thread that flowed into the internal organs. But because his consciousness was retracted, the control of the essence blood was greatly reduced. The Yuan force that he had suppressed suddenly erupted. Lu Kuan felt that he was heavily punched from the inside. His soul was a little chaotic. His whole body hit the rock behind him with a bang, and the internal organs in his body that were wrapped by the snow soul saber were like boiling water, rolling violently. Chapter 1276. Lu Kuan was lying by the wall. Because the blood in his muscles had all condensed in his body, he looked like a bag of bones with no strength left in him. There was a strange change in his body. The snow soul blades were tightly connected and turned into the shape of an elliptical sphere. Every blade was trembling slightly, as if it was strenuous. Underneath these blades, his organs were completely different from before. The boundaries between the organs had disappeared and they were fused together. They turned into an elliptical sphere of blood and flesh that hung on the silver spine. Its slippery surface was dotted with milky white brain matter and streaks of blood and flesh. It looked extremely tough, but even so, there was still a terrifying force that made it shrink inwards. Fortunately, it was blocked by the snow soul blade. Lu Kuan was unaware of this situation. His senses seemed to have entered a new space. This was a sealed elliptical sphere. There was a silver ocean surging in it. In the middle of the ocean, 5 small islands were floating gently. They were closely connected and surrounded a sealed pool. The pool was flashing with the colors of gold, silver, and black. Looking from afar, there was a small whirlpool that was swirling inside. Strange ripples were rippling outwards. After the ripples hit the surrounding islands, they stirred up layers of waves that rolled outwards on the vast silver ocean. Where's this place? The aura is so familiar. The silver ocean here is my blood essence. Those 5 islands are my heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys. Lu Kuan was extremely shocked. He focused his senses and sensed inside. The whirlpool in the pool seems to have a wisp of black gas. At this moment, the wisp of black gas disappeared and the whirlpool stopped. The entire elliptical sphere seemed to have lost some kind of support and shattered. He felt that the world was spinning. His divine sense left the central nervous system and returned to his sea of consciousness. His blood essence also returned to his muscles, and his body became full again. Lu Kuan slowly opened his eyes and looked at his body in a daze. Buzz! At this moment, the sound of a blade was heard from his body. He heard the sound of the snow, soul blade, and was stunned. Schwer, are you saying that my organs and flesh collapsed inwards? Buzz, hearing this, Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with disbelief. He muttered. After it mixed into the central nervous system, the Yuan force went out of control and produced a reverse force. The organs turned into an elliptical shape. After the Yuan force disappeared, the organs returned to normal? Buzz. After receiving a positive answer, Lu Kuan carefully sensed his internal organs. After discovering that they were not damaged, he took a deep breath and said with a serious expression, "If that's the case, then let's try again. Schwer, help protect your internal organs." Lu Kuan listened to the sound of the blade in his body. Another ball of true devil water gushed out from his soft ribs. It was about twice as much as before. He wanted to confirm if the Yuan power was the power that maintained a strange space just now. As he thought about it, his body began to shrink again. All the blood essence in his body gathered in his body, and the power of his bloodline surged. He once again activated the demonic ape transformation. Boom! Under the suppression of the blood essence, that terrifying power was confined in his organs. Lu Kuan did not hesitate. His consciousness quickly surged into his central nervous system. His brain turned into milky white liquid and flowed into his internal organs along his spinal nerves. Lu Kuan endured the heavy impact in his body and tried his best to sense the situation in his body. He discovered that after the Yuan power was suppressed by the blood essence, it produced a suction force that collapsed inwards and merged his internal organs into an oval ball of flesh. Because he did not have enough control, this violent power was extremely unstable. Fortunately, he had the snow soul blade wrapped around him to maintain it. Otherwise, his internal organs would have continued to collapse and be squeezed into a pool of blood. After this ball of flesh was formed, Lu Kuan's central nervous system sensed the oval ocean space. It was obviously inside the ball of flesh. The silver ocean is my blood essence, the 5 islands are my internal organs, and the pool in the middle. While he was thinking, Lu Kuan's perception came to the center of the space. The pool in the middle of the 5 internal organs, islands, was a little strange. It was mixed with 3 colors, gold, silver, and black. The pool was mainly divided into 5 areas. The largest area was gold and silver and took up about 70% of the area. The water droplets in it were also a little strange. There was some kind of rune-shaped water ball that rolled freely in it. Other than that, the most eye-catching thing was the whirlpool. It was filled with water droplets made of strange runes. They were black and gold in color. Under the stirring of a dense black gas, ripples were vibrating around the 5 internal organs islands. The will of the true devil. Lu Kuan sensed the brutal will in the black gas and suddenly understood. This whirlpool is the way to release the demonic ape transformation. He could not help but sense carefully, especially the rune-shaped water droplets inside. He found that these water droplets were in the shape of a hyperboloid. They looked like some kind of strange text, but also like some kind of mysterious incantation. These 3-dimensional runes were made of tiny particles. These particles were in the shape of long strips and seemed to be shrunken muscle fibers. They gave off an aura that Lu Kuan was very familiar with. And between these particles, there was a frenzied wolf flowing. This is the origin of the bloodline and the will of frenzy. Lu Kuan was shocked. The origin of the bloodline is the foundation of these 3-dimensional runes, and the will of frenzy is their link, forming this strange shape. These bloodline rune water droplets intertwined with each other. under the stirring of the will of the true devil. This demonic ape transformation's divine ability whirlpool was created. Lukuin looked at the other 3 areas of the pool. Although the water surface was calm, the water droplets inside were still in the shape of strange runes. It was just that the structure was different. He suddenly saw the light. I understand. This body of water is the manifestation of the depths of the bloodline. The water droplets inside are made up of the origin of the bloodline and the will of frenzy. Each area here represents a kind of bloodline divine ability. Traditional immortal cultivators have Danteon meridians. Body cultivators have always used the flesh as meridians to circulate energy. Now, what is manifested is a kind of existence similar to Danteon. In the process of Lu Kuan's absent-mindedness, his divine sense spun again. From the state just now, the small ball of true devils will dissipated, and his internal organs returned to their original state. He opened his eyes and sat on the ground in a daze. When Lu Kuan first entered the immortal cultivation world, he practiced traditional cultivation methods. Naturally, he knew that the Danteon was the manifestation of the body of an immortal cultivator. It was a core space to store energy. Could it be that because the refining of the body involved the mystery of the bloodline, it manifested an existence similar to the Danteon of an immortal cultivator? Internal organs and Danteon? Lu Kuan thought of the difficult way it was formed, and his face couldn't help but twitch. First, let the Yunyuan force explode in the internal organs and blood essence. Using the blood essence as a buffer and suppression, it formed an invisible force that collapsed inwards, condensing the internal organs. Then, it relied on the central nervous system to sense the internal organs and Danteon. If it was a few years ago when the Yunyuan force exploded, his internal organs would have collapsed. But it was different now. After encountering the powerful mental shock wave in the Great Whirlpool, the strength of Lu Kuan's internal organs increased greatly. After entering the Broken Country, the power of the primordial spirit of the 6 divine transformation stage cultivators was extinguished together with the dark spirit crystal. The refining effect was even stronger than the time in the Great Whirlpool. Coupled with the protection of the Snow Soul Saber, his internal organs were barely able to stabilize under the collapsing force of the Yunyuan force, forming this strange oval Danteon. My Yunyuan force is produced by relying on the bloodline ability. My internal organs and Danteon can only appear for a short period of time. If I wanted to exist stably, I'm afraid I have to reach the refinement stage and stabilize my physical body at the Yunyuan 4 stage. He took a deep breath and activated the devil-ape transformation again, repeatedly sensing this strange internal Danteon. The internal organs form the membrane outside the Danteon, which seems to be able to resist the collapsing force. The silver ocean inside is all the blood essence in the body. The water area surrounded by the 5 internal organs islands can be called the pool of blood. The whirlpool that represents the devil-ape transformation is constantly producing a kind of ripple that goes through the internal organs islands to the blood essence ocean outside. Then it flows through the entire body, allowing the physical body to produce this terrifying power. This should be the principle of the bloodline ability, and the strange rune structure of the water droplets in the whirlpool is the essence of this ability. Different abilities have different rune water droplets. Lu Kuan looked at the other 4 areas other than the whirlpool. 3 of them were extremely calm. Only the water surface that took up 70% of the area would occasionally emit slight ripples. It seemed like it did not need to form a whirlpool to be able to emit the power of the ability through the internal organs. A bloodline ability that does not need to be actively used. Could this pool of blood represent the strength talent of the giant long-armed ape? A bloodline ability that affects the foundation of the physical body strength? Lu Kuan suppressed his excitement and looked at the other 3 calm water areas. With a thought, he tried to activate the heaven-piercing roar. However, the water surface closest to the devil-ape transformation began to tremble slightly. The heaven-piercing roar's pool of blood. Lu Kuan understood and sensed the remaining two. He discovered that one of the golden pools was emitting a faint ripple that was spreading towards the liver island. He pondered for a moment and activated the divine golden eye attack ability. However, this pool also began to tremble. The divine golden eye bloodline pool. Strange. In addition to the devil-ape transformation, heaven-piercing roar, and the strength talent of the giant long-armed ape, there are a total of 4 bloodline abilities. Why are there 5 bloodline pools here? Wait, could it be? Lu Kuan seemed to have thought of something. He secretly condensed a bloodline ability that he had not used since entering the middle stage of bone transformation. Then, he discovered that the pool was gently trembling, but there were no ripples surging out. This is the long-lost, giant, long-armed ape transformation ability? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.